Ahem. The microphone is starting to work. I see the major in the background. We'll be coming online in just a moment. There he goes. I hear him. There he is. Looking good. Sporting a beard. I don't want to blow it for everybody in the chat room, but it's looking good.
You're born. Thanks, brother.
Absolutely. Be with you in
got my Resist the 45th shirt on, so we're good to go.
Excellent. Hold on one second. There's so much to talk about. It's just so much.
It gets more and more every day, brother.
That's right. All right, chat room. You guys, I know you can hear us fiddling around back here, so I'm just going to bring us straight on. There we are. Hey, look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. I'm Hal Sparks. It's Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide. It's a Monday, and with us, we got two special guests today. We got the Major joining us right now. How are you, sir?
Wow.
Airborne, as everyone says in the chat room. Give big ups, and also, I don't wait till the end. Follow him on all of his social media sites and listen to the message and spread it around, because I think there's a big root of rural support for Democrats that just has not been mined. We'll talk more about that as we go on. And then, of course, like, subscribe. Hit the like right now, because that bumps us up in the algorithm and lets people know the show's live, in that here's what's live now on YouTube line across people's TV sets. So it's really important. Hit it right away. And yes, I am wearing, he's wearing his Resist the 45th, which I like, shirt there. Excellent. And I'm wearing one of those shirts that you seldom see Democrats wearing for whatever reason, because somebody a long time ago, I guess the right decided they were going to trademark the flag and make it mean the opposite of what it actually means. And so I'm taking it back. It irritates all the right people. I've got, I don't have to show you, but I literally have a desk of Captain Americas that are part of my collection. My son knows that I love Captain America, so he gets me a different Captain America all the time as one of the, as a gift that he'll give me or whatever. So there's this one, and I got a bobblehead one, so there. That's all I'm saying. Welcome to the show, Major. Good to have you. How are you, brother? On all fronts.
Always glad to be on. I have about 62 or 63 grunt style t-shirts.
Yeah. You're goddamn right.
People have said the same thing to me, is we can't believe that you're a Democrat. Well, I read.
Yeah, right. That's and to some degree, I would say that's our fault. Like giving, you do not give away something as valuable as the very symbol of freedom and equality that people fought and died for. You don't hand it over to the likes of Donald Trump willingly, or just go, well, I guess that's theirs now. It's like, remember when they were trying to claim the OK symbol as white supremacy? And I'm like, You are not going to take away the greatest Eddie Murphy moment in Beverly Hills Cop, because they decide they get to keep it. They got the Horcrux, the swastika, the Tibetan Buddhist symbol. They managed to wrestle that from some culture a long time ago, and we're going to wrestle it back one day. And they're not getting any more. I'm sorry.
And they think that, also if they basically dress up from head to toe with Trump paraphernalia that's made in China,
right?
Whoever has the most flags and stuff like that and stickers on their truck wins.
Nope.
Like, good Lord,
one
man.
vote, one person, dummy. That's one. Do you think that's why they? I'm sure there's a myriad of reasons. Do you think that's one of the reasons why they always kind of bash America and go, "We're not a democracy. We're not a democracy. Okay, we're not a democracy. We're not." They seem really tied to that. They seem like that. They think that's a dunk.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that, they are holding on to Donald Trump. And at the end of the day, that Donald Trump wants to do away with the democracy,
Right.
And that's like, one thing that I really appreciate is I watch all these videos of Glenn Kirshner and Michael Popak and these guys, and they're talking about how, really the Supreme Court, it should be smarter than this. I think I believe that. I think that I know that there's corruption involved.
Debatable, right?
Thomas's garbage, Alito's garbage. But at the end of the day, I kind of take a little comfort in knowing that they know that if they give Donald Trump a pass I mean, a dictator doesn't need a Supreme Court to ask
No,
about if something is legal or
absolutely
not.
not.
A dictator will get rid of a Supreme Court because they are the ones that make all the decisions. So I'm hoping that even though we've got your Kavanaugh and the ones that were placed there specifically by Donald Trump, I'm hoping that they're smart enough, and I'm hoping that they're having that conversation amongst themselves,
Right.
saying that the Democrats have a really good shot of we're definitely going to take back the House, and if you want the the 119th Congress to put legislation checking you people, that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly the path you can go on, and they will. You want ethics? We'll give you ethics, and it'll come
Well,
from the House of Representatives.
I think the Supreme Court ultimately, if you're going to talk about the kind of people that Donald Trump would put in, and and that a couple of them were absolutely just they're just hypersonic missiles aimed at women's rights. That's all it was. Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, both of them, the only fucking reason at all that they were put on there was to eliminate women's rights. And evangelicals tend to know this. Evangelicals are like, I don't care what kind of a scumbag Donald Trump is. I don't care that he partied with Jeffrey Epstein for 2 decades. I don't care that he had Ghislaine Maxwell. Might have touched it. A great thing about this like a couple days ago. Ghislaine Maxwell set Donald Trump up with a 20-year-old in an apartment that she had groomed through Epstein's mill back in the early 90s. Like just fucking gross. Like they'll look past all that shit if they can just block a woman's right to choose. Period. End of story. Because they think they're twofold. One, that some of them are deluded enough to think that that life begins at the actual separation of cells. Which again, if it did, then every woman who's ever had a miscarriage is guilty of manslaughter, I suppose, according to them, which is just absurd. They don't think it through. And the other reason, of course, is that that's the easiest way to drive women back into the house. Is that if you're pregnant, you can't work, and that's the idea. So yeah.
Well, and when you use the Supreme Court, and
Yeah.
even the state Supreme Courts, I
Yeah.
remember in West Virginia, we had a guy. His name was Evan Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
He was a member of Congress, and he only did it for 1 term, and then because he saw the dollar signs,
Yeah.
he come back to West Virginia, and of course he used Trump to get him elected to the Supreme Court in West
Right.
Virginia. And the bad part about it was the people in West Virginia supported him because he loves Trump. He had never spent a single day in a courthouse. He graduated from law school, and immediately after he got his law degree, he immediately went to culinary arts school and had never done anything at all in terms of
in his defense, I think he was planning on cooking the law for Trump. I mean, isn't that what they put him in there for, right? Isn't that the idea?
But I mean, think about that. I mean, you sit here and you voted for a guy that everybody knew had never spent the first time in a courtroom, and now because he's running around screaming Trump, 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 you're going to put him on the state Supreme Court.
Yeah,
it's absolute garbage. I mean, I just don't understand how people, fall for this stuff. If a person is running for the Supreme Court, you should really be trying to look into their background about how much experience they have. What are some of the calls that they've made? Not because he loves Donald Trump.
That's right.
Good Lord.
And I think I've turned the audio up on the major. It should be better now. Let me know, chat room, if that's okay.
I might have turned mine up too.
Okay. We'll do both. I'm just going to make sure. Check for me, would you?
Eric, can you hear me, everybody?
Yeah, there you go. That's hitting into the red a little bit. That's good. Because I just know also that you and I both get wound up, and we have like a fifth gear. Most people just have the 4 gears, and then we hit 5, and we're like, when we're talking about a particular topic. Now, in light of that, let me give you a great example that I saw this morning. A lot of people were jumping around about Trump, saying he's going to indict Biden and all this nonsense. Okay, he was saying lock her up about Hillary Clinton. Everything is a reboot with this fucker.
Yep.
Nothing's new. So let me show you something, if I may. This is from Truth Social. This AM, right? And this is a woman wrote an article or something like that. He tends to do this. He tends to post these ass kissing articles about him. Mostly, it's just based on the title. So I saw this, and I see these all the time, and I hardly ever click on them because they're, it's usually some, it's either an old article from Wall Street Journal where they used to like him and like, this is, see how they used to like me and now blah blah blah, or it's from Breitbart or some other shit, right? It's just an obvious throw to that. This is fucking bananas. Okay, so look, the title of this is, I was with Trump last week and what I saw proves he is still the best leader. Now, all right, that sounds like somebody who was sitting with him talking policy. He was, right? You'd think from that title, that's somebody who's like, I roundtabled because I'm a business person and Trump told me everything. And I was like, fuck, this guy knows all his details, right? That's what that title tells you. The second, the subheading, just like Mar-a-Lago, America, Jesus Christ, just like Mar-a-Lago, America can be a nation of success and splendor once again. Okay, first of all, Mar-a-Lago is a nation of splendor and success. They fucking flooded the server room to try and erase tapes because the pool, and they literally blamed it on the pool boy. All right, and bring restored pride in ourselves and in our nation. Okay, so that's what caught me, which he was like, just like Mar-a-Lago. I was like, that sounds like a comedy fucking song right there. So I clicked on the article. It was on this Express whatever website. This is from a columnist on there. I guess for me. Okay. I was with Trump last week and what I saw proves he's still the best leader. Peggy Grand. Okay. I clicked on Peggy Grand's thing. We won't go into it, but it's sadly limited. But check this out. This is what this woman writes about this asshole. And I think this will lead us into something major. I consider myself incredibly fortunate and am truly grateful to have rung in the new year of 2024 in West Palm Beach, Florida at President Trump's grand estate, Mar-a-Lago. Surrounded by 700 or so of his family, friends, club members, and guests, mostly club members and guests, because his wife didn't even show, but whatever. The president joined in the ballroom countdown just as was taking place, all right, at countless other gatherings worldwide. Yeah. Well, no, worldwide it took place in different, because there's time zones, fuckwad. That, I found that particularly lovely. Okay, as the clock struck midnight in Florida, just for clarity, I think East Coast, collectively, we said goodbye to 2023 and welcomed 2024. While that moment itself was fairly ordinary, that was the only thing ordinary about New Year's Eve at Mar-a-Lago. The evening began on a long red carpet entry met by Hollywood premiere-style photographs being taken of the guests as they arrived. I presume that means that people were drinking blood out of the head of a baby and wearing spirit cooking clothes, because isn't that how Hollywood works? I thought that's how Hollywood works. I thought that was a negative. Okay. A massive 2024 ice sculpture, because Florida's the place you want an ice sculpture, graced the entrance, helping chill a huge display of fresh shellfish. Food stations and open bars surround the pool filled with twinkling lights and live music infused with pleasant Florida winter air. That just means it's the one time of the year when it's not briny. Gentlemen in tuxedos and ladies in long gowns were covered in sequins, feathers, glitter, and diamonds. This had to be one of the most beautiful and well-dressed crowds ever assembled. Then a voice of God asked everyone to look to the sky in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the lights went out and perfectly timed fireworks set to music appeared over the bay, backlighting the iconic palm trees. A dramatic and memorable call to dinner. The entire dinner felt magical. Big band music filled the ballroom as guess what? Okay, blah, blah, blah. She just goes on like this. And at the end, Trump goes at the New Year's Eve party, trading in his signature navy blue suit and long red tie for a classic black tuxedo. A well-dressed President Trump took to the stage as God Bless the USA was sung with video walls of flags waving in the background. He warmly and energetically greeted the crowd, thanking them for coming and saying, "This is going to be an amazing year. We're going to turn our country around, do so very quickly." The crowd cheered in unison with full support and belief.
Well, of course they did.
Yeah, of course they did. He stayed for several hours, enjoying the festivities and sharing the Yeah.
Did you watch the countdown?
Yes.
Yeah. Did you see him standing there. He was the only one in the room that didn't have a smile on his face.
Yeah.
When they were counting down, he was, because the truth is Donald Trump was at that moment in his mind saying 2023 is gone. And 2024 is the year that I'm going to get accountability shoved up my ass.
Seriously. And I'm going to lose this election again, and I don't even fucking want it. And I'm only running because I think it's the only thing that keep me out of fucking jail. And the worst thing that could happen to me is that I don't go to jail and I actually get this fucking job, and I go down in history as the greatest bigot since Adolf Hitler with my whatever is going to drive 13 million people out of the country. That shit, again, I gotta say that anybody is flipping a coin about this motherfucker. Even about like Israel and Gaza, because we all know he would have called Netanyahu and said, you got to be strong. Like, remember how she did with the people in Hong Kong or Tiananmen Square? You got to do something like that. That's what he would have fucking said. Yeah, he absolutely would have. He goes, you should just take that land and I'll build hotels on it. No fucking question at all. He'll brag about it between now and the election. Whatever concessions Israel ends up having to give, or they make some sort of balanced, post-war attempt with Blinken and other people like that, no matter what the fuck they do, Trump's going to come out and go, I would have just let him have it. Like, I guarantee it. Like, what's he going to lose? The fucking Palestinian vote? He gives a shit?
Well, I mean, think about that too. How he always talked about how him and Netanyahu were so close. But the moment that Netanyahu looked at President Biden and said, congratulations on your victory, all bets are off. Now, all of a sudden, Netanyahu is the worst person on the planet, a failed leader, because he didn't throw stones at Joe Biden and say, Donald Trump's my friend.
Right.
It's like we have a child in the White House.
Well, and that's, in terms of military strategy, one of the things that, I don't know why other people aren't noticing is that the timing when Yahya Sinwar, the military head of Hamas, who's effectively the sort of driving head of it right now, because the major leadership lives in Qatar and fucking utter, Trumpian comfort, while this asshole's crawling around trying to find out a way to like chop Israelis to pieces for the last 5 years. Yahya Sinwar sent a note in Hebrew, a letter in Hebrew to Benjamin Netanyahu after Trump had, identified the capital as Jerusalem, moved the embassy, given Israel the Golan Heights. Sinwar sent him a letter sent Benjamin Netanyahu a letter in Hebrew, specifically, which was kind of the point, saying, take a chance on a ceasefire. Well, let's try to develop things. And that's what Netanyahu did. They started paying a bunch of money to try and stabilize Hamas, turn it into an actual sort of new version of the PLO. They've been through it with the PA and the PLO before. They started out as terrorist organizations and eventually kind of aged into sort of being governing principled. Maybe it's possible with Hamas. So they started doing it. And on October fucking 8th, Yahya Sinwar said, we got you. You fucking fell for it. It was a rope-a-dope. We've been planning this for 5 years. Well, if you backdate from October 7th, about 5 years, that's Donald Trump moving the embassy and going, I don't know why these presidents didn't just go ahead and do it. Because I'll tell you why. Because every time they talked about doing it, their military, their chiefs of staff, people at the Pentagon, people in the State Department were like, yeah, but then this happens and this happens and this happens. And it might be fine for a little bit, but it's going to fucking turn into the worst ever. And Trump didn't give a rat's ass. He was that was when fucking Jared was trying to secure, what effectively the Abraham Accords were, an Abraham LLC. They were trying to set up a business corridor between Israel and the UAE and Qatar and these other countries, which, by the way, they're going to need eventually anyways. But they didn't give a shit about the country. Like, we brought peace to the Middle East. Nobody who's fighting with Israel is part of the Abraham Accords. Nobody. Everybody was just kind of a backseat partner in this. Anyways, point being is that 5 years later, boom. And Sinwar admits it.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the thing about it is that they have all the time in the world. They can wait it out. Yep. And, when the time is perfect, do what they got to do, or, launch their attack.
Right.
I mean, this is horrible, but, just it amazes me how Donald Trump makes it about him. Donald Trump always makes everything about him.
Right.
I hate this, but what you also said is the same thing happened in Afghanistan, where, We got the Mujahideen set up and supported them to oust Russia, and the Mujahideen turned into the Taliban, and that's where we're at now.
Right. Well, and right now you've got somewhere, I don't know, millions of Afghan who escaped Afghanistan when the Taliban took over, fled to Pakistan. They're being driven out by the Pakistanis. Which I mean, and again, the territory between Pakistan and Afghanistan is the Taliban corridor. That is where they in that mountain range in that area. That's where the Taliban came up through. So like the idea that these guys move into the front seat, everybody runs out the back of the car and tries to escape, and then is being driven back in by the very people that stopped the Taliban from spreading even into Pakistan, which is a fucking borderline failed state half the time. Trump has brought up recently, and I want to hear your take on this as well. Trump has brought up recently a lot. He keeps trying to jumpstart Afghanistan. He still thinks that somehow, like, America's pining to still be there.
He's first off, understand, a lot of people don't realize this.
Yeah.
But a lot of that equipment that was left in Afghanistan that they want to scream was the waste of the taxpayer. Look, we gave that to them. We equipped them.
Yeah, that was for the Afghan military. Right.
Yeah. We equipped the military. We equipped their police. We trained and equipped over 300,000 police officers. I actually brought in 140 some Toyota Hilux pickup trucks, and of course 100 of them got stolen before they even made it to me. And of course that's when I realized how corrupt it all is, because I call and I'm saying, what the hell, I was supposed to get 140 vehicles and I got 43, and they said just reorder. They didn't say let's investigate. They said just reorder, which means that it's okay, look the other way, who cares. But I mean, at the end of the day, we left, and oh, by the way, at that airport, before they left, our troops went through there and smashed every piece of equipment
totally
that was on the. We broke. It just.
I'll show you.
We gave them. Yeah.
Look at this shit. Okay, I've shown this a couple of times. We've gone through this every time. He's like $85 billion of the brand new blah bitty fucking blah. There are so many articles on Al Jazeera, the world over. Like, it's not even like the U.S. picking up the fucking slack. Of the fact that the Afghans are pissed that we shredded stuff so much it's unusable even for parts. Like the cars themselves, like you can't take the fucking alternator out of it or something and use it in another car because it's all so badly destroyed.
Yeah.
They were like, what am I going to do with shredded aluminum? Because that's basically what we have here is just piles and piles of shredded aluminum. And they're mad. And like, here's a good idea. You could have voted in your last election and not made it a failed exercise for the U.S. to keep propping up your government, because it was the lost interest in voting in Afghanistan that eventually led us to go, it's time, we got to go. In the last, especially pre-Trump, in the 2 years before Trump, and he was going to get us out. But we're going to stay in. We're getting out, but we're going to keep Bagram and stay there forever, because that's what we want, is our U.S. forces surrounded on all sides by ISIS-K while they're at war with the Taliban, and financially backed by the Chinese so that they don't leak into the Uyghur territories and start shit there.
Yeah, if you look, and we left a lot of stuff for the Iraqi police and military that's still in Iraq that they're using. I'll tell you right now, you can go, when I was in Germany back in 1990 to 1992, I can remember going to fields when we decided that our unit was going to be deactivated. Mm-hmm. So we had to take all of our equipment to this area, which basically you drove it there, and you left the key in it, you got out and you got in a van and drove away, and it stayed there forever. I'm talking about World War II Jeeps as far as the eye could see. I mean, we leave stuff like that all the time because it's just not, it's not really cost effective to bring it. We don't need it. It's not our best equipment.
Well, that was the other thing too. Is like Trump's like, I want every screw, every bolt, every nut, or whatever. Okay, like you have to be a fucking nut yourself to want our soldiers to wander around airfields with a fucking what, a magnet and a metal detector, scooping up
Yeah.
hardware that you can buy in bulk in the United States. Endangering soldiers' lives while the Taliban are approaching, while we know we're leaving because we're not making it the 51st state. So this motherfucker is like, make these dumbass grunts walk around and pack all this shit up in a war zone for nothing.
Yeah. So what? So he can act like he's got some footprint someplace that does
Right.
nothing for us at all. Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm gonna tell you, even the people that are fleeing Afghanistan, a lot of them got out. But I'm going to tell you, I had one of my interpreters that fled Afghanistan, went through Pakistan, and got to Mongolia, and
Right.
he actually was able to go to school in Mongolia and earn his master's degree. But the day after he earned his master's degree, they told him, you now have to go back to Afghanistan. And he said, no, they stuck him in jail for literally like 3 months. And then finally they took him out of there and they flew him to the Philippines. He's finally made it to America now. But I mean, it was a tough haul, but they were trying to send him back.
Right. Well, and the irony that you can stay there long enough to get educated, but as soon as you have the education, they want you to leave. And when they need educated workers is the most ridiculous part of, especially northern China. That's hilarious. This is, by the way, just for the record, this is the Snopes record on the did we spend $80 billion worth of shit, brand new equipment or whatever. Straight up false. 20 years, we spent $80 billion to train and equip the military forces of Afghanistan. It is not the value of the actual gear in the last 4 years while Trump was there. And I remember when Obama and Biden were like planning on getting out the last 2 years, we were grinding this shit into fucking powder, almost like burning the boat so we couldn't stay. That was the, yeah.
Imagine we were in Afghanistan for 20 years.
20
Let me tell you
fucking
something.
years.
Afghanistan is one of those places which really drove me crazy in the end because we were spending so much money building roads. And I'm like, why are we building roads connecting these villages when all they have is 2 donkeys and a cart? But, our vehicles was 20 years on some of the worst terrain. I'm talking about we even rolled vehicles. It's that bad. The terrain is garbage. I mean, at the end of that war, that equipment was beat down. And once again, they didn't have the capability. They don't have maintenance capabilities. They don't know how to order parts and things like that. They don't have that kind of connection. So this stuff, like I said, is nothing but daggone a paperweight.
And I would like to point out that Joe Biden, who was against the surge and was like, we need to get the fuck out of here, kept telling Obama repeatedly, they're going to tell you can stay in another 6 weeks. It's not going to make a fucking lick of difference. Start packing now. If we get out of here before the end of the first term, we'll put this shit in the rear view mirror and we'll be sitting on an excess of money, that we don't have to fucking waste there going forward. The exit will be ugly. There is just no way to get out of there without something awful happening. But it's better than staying there and watching our people die and throwing blood and treasure into this area for a long time. Because again, Afghanistan is not the graveyard of empires because they tried to fight and take it and they lost. It's the graveyard of empires because eventually every great empire got into the middle of it and went, what the fuck am I doing here? What is this for? It doesn't get me anywhere. It's a giant chunk of dry land that you can't farm on it unless you're growing poppies because they'll grow anywhere. But you can't, and even the traversing of it, it's 12 tribes all slapped together and they hate each other. Let's get the fuck out of here. And that's what they always do. That's what they always do. So, but, Biden comes in, like Trump runs on getting us out of Afghanistan, never fucking does. And now he says he was never planning to. We were always going to stay there forever. Biden comes in, gets us the fuck out right away. Give a first opportunity. And the generals told him the same shit in the spring. Remember that? There were guys, even on the news, you had people coming out, former generals who had been there, like, if in an 8-month period, we could whatever. And he's like, bullshit. I've heard this all before. We're leaving. And we did. Well, and we were building, like you said, roads and bridges there. We were building infrastructure. And what did Joe Biden do? Of all this bullshit about why are we spending Marjorie Taylor Greene always, why are we spending money over there on somebody else's country when we should be spending it on our own? We're not building. Okay. And then Biden comes in and literally does that. Literally says, "Yep, we're out of Afghanistan. Fuck that." And passes an infrastructure bill.
Mm-hmm.
So we fucking start building our country again. That's exactly what these populist assholes have been asking for. They fucking get it, and they're mad at him. That part of it.
They're mad because it comes from a. They're mad because it comes from a Democrat.
That's right,
and that's it. I mean, it amazes me how Joe Biden he hits home runs every other day. Every other day. And his speech was absolutely amazing. Yep. You know, I challenge anybody to show where Donald Trump can speak for 20 minutes and not absolutely garble his words.
Oh my God.
About
I'm going to cover like 3 of his Iowa things today, like later on tonight. I'm going to do a long one because I don't have a show tomorrow. I'm just going to burn it down tonight looking at this shit because that man is decaying before our fucking eyes.
Yeah.
I
don't know how much longer he's got, but I'm going to tell you, because my thing is this: I do believe that accountability is going to come for Donald Trump. I think that there's enough people, even on the Republican side, that are smart enough to realize that they will lose the entire party if they allow Donald Trump to continue down this path. So I believe Donald Trump's going to, for the first time in his life, feel accountability. And I think it's going to blow his damn heart out of his chest. I don't think he's going to be able to handle it.
I agree. Also, I guess we have a troll in the chat who's going, where did Trump suggest getting back into Afghanistan? Keeping Bagram means never leaving. If you stay in Bagram, if you hold the base in Bagram and you stay there forever, that's not leaving. That no one is claiming we're out of Iraq because we have bases. We have a giant base there, right? In the same way, we're still technically in Germany. We just are there with their permission, right? The difference was in Afghanistan, we would not be there with their permission. We would just be holding that and saying, "Fuck you, this is ours." And that's the difference between Okinawa, Iraq, and any of these places.
Yeah, and imagine, actually being stationed there after that was set up. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not fun to be in mortar attacks. And Bagram was
24/7 for no reason.
Yeah, Bagram was the place that got the nickname of Mortaritaville. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that's because every single day, every single night, somewhere on that base, somebody was raining something down on them. It was definitely not a great place to be. And once again, typical somebody saying, let's keep it there because their kids are not going to be the ones that's going to guard it.
Right.
It's going to be the regular sons and daughters of America that's going to be the ones they're going to send over there to guard it. Now, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, and we have a relationship with the Iraqi government now, and it's always tenuous. It's going to be for quite a while, but we stabilize their currency. There's all kinds of stuff that we're doing there that's actually functioning. Iraq, you don't hear a lot about Iraq except for the recent firings by Iranian-linked groups, largely because they have effectively stabilized. Afghanistan has not, and there's nothing in the Taliban that would drive them to protect the area around Bagram from ISIS-K. Because they're not going to lose the fighters helping us. So why the fuck would they? They don't care. Yeah. So our guys would be even more isolated. The Afghan government, at least, would have sort of technically been partnering with us during the time we had the Bagram base, protecting them. They would have worked with our troops and in security. The Taliban's not going to do that.
And Donald Trump laughed about this stuff. Donald Trump, first and foremost, I'm still sitting here wondering how on earth the Republicans in the United States of America gave him a pass on releasing 5,000 Taliban for nothing. Right. We got nothing for that. Donald Trump said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to let 5,000 people go. And they went straight from the daggone, the jails and prisons that they were in, straight back on the battlefield. We know that for a fact. Because basically our guys were killing these people that were recently released and capturing them again.
Right.
But and then Donald Trump laughed. He laughed about the exit date. He laughed about that and said, there's nothing they can do. A lot of people don't know this, but believe it or not, we actually left 3 months after that date.
Yeah. We
because
pushed it.
President Biden said, look, you're going to either give me 3 months to get everything ready to get out of Afghanistan, or screw it, we can stay and continue fighting. And the Taliban said, well, you know what? We'll give you the 3 months. And that's exactly what happened. And they want to blame, everything about what happened. They want to act like the last day in Afghanistan was like Benghazi and anything like that. They want to blame that on Joe Biden. And you know what? There's nothing on the face of the earth that you can do to get everything and all these people out of Afghanistan and guarantee that there's not going to be some guy out there, some zealot that's got a suicide vest that wants to cause issues. And that's what.
Well, and I would argue that the Taliban more than likely let that person through to scare everybody away because they were having a brain drain. Everybody was that was on the civilian side of the airport, where their civilians, all the working class and the intellectual class of that ran the government, that ran all the industries, that knew how to fucking keep the sewage system working, they were all bugging out. Just like all the people who bugged out of Russia, at the beginning of that war and left, any way they could rather than be conscripted and turned into cannon fodder. P.S. By the way, in regard to building roads, just for the record, this is news, but Romania has built a new highway to the Ukrainian border, and this highway will circumvent Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, giving Ukraine access to Romanian ports, which is yet another way that, this is mostly about Hungary is the main issue here.
Yeah.
That being able to go around Hungary and not have to deal with their bullshit is a huge thing. And it will be a boon for Romania as well. So that's when you got two countries working together, right? We were building roads for people who didn't even like the people in the next village between the villages, which is so fucking weird, right?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this is what's happening currently. Yeah.
This has great ramifications.
Yes.
This is going to help Ukraine and to be able to get past Orban, who is practically he's a dictator. It's exactly what he is. So this is the kind of road Trump likes that I would build. Yeah, this is the kind of road that I would like to see him built. But once again, in Afghanistan, we knew that we were there pulling security so that Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, Halliburton, Brown and Root, that they could make money building roads in a place that don't have really
roads to nowhere. Yeah, bridges to nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah, there's places over there people don't even understand. The terrain in the Hindu Kush Mountains is next level. There's a picture of a CH-47 helicopter that has basically set the ass of it on the top of a hut in the Korengal Valley, which they were, because they couldn't land it anywhere. They had to basically hover, and then they grabbed a couple of prisoners and put them on there. I actually knew a guy. I went through CGSC with the guy that was on that roof, throwing them prisoners of war on those. So, that's the type of terrain they have. And that's one of the reasons why they don't have cars, because they never had cars. It's donkeys and a cart. But here we are, trying to spend all this money, and all we're doing is losing lives for what? So that Halliburton and Lockheed Martin can get more money. That's why we stayed. That's why we stayed after May the 10th. I will never forget when I was in Bagram, and a guy came up to me and said, "Hey, man, did you hear we got him?" And I said, "Who?" They said, "Osama bin Laden." And I said, the first thing I said is, "So when the hell are we going home?"
Yeah.
And we stayed for 10 more years.
Right.
Because of money. Right.
But also, again, the Iranian encroachment in that period, that part of the world, and this kind of ever bleed that is now abundantly clear between China and Russia and Iran, as them trying to rebuild both the BRICS currency idea and their sort of a new Russian / Chinese hegemony it's like, you'll take manufacturing, we'll take energy, and the Iranians will take the religious aspect of it. They'll do the cultural part, we'll do the fuel, and you guys do all the plastic shit that they, the toys, whatever, play IEDs that they're teaching their kids with over there. We'll sell those throughout the Middle East. They were going to basically divide up the Middle East and North Africa that way. We get the energy business, you get the consumer goods business, and they control them ideologically. And whenever there's an ideological group that kind of goes, wait a minute, this isn't pure. You guys have to wipe them out. We'll give you we'll send some Wagner guys down there to help you do it. Keep them within the range, or turn them around and point them towards some Jews somewhere. And that's either in the United States or in Israel. And so let me show you. Meanwhile, I mean, we're talking about some fairly serious geopolitical issues, and Donald Trump is running to be president again, poorly. But I would also like to show you. This morning, 11:03 a.m. This is on Truth Social. So. One of the dumbest things about Donald Trump is that he posts everything that he posts on Truth Social on his Telegram channel, and you don't have to subscribe. So I don't know what the fuck. Maybe that's why Truth Social's a shithole that's losing money.
730 million. Now it's around 100 million.
Yeah. Well, and that's, what, crypto? Okay. I did nothing wrong. My financial statements are great, very conservative, the exact opposite of what the highly political and totally corrupt New York State Attorney General says. She ran for office and I will get Trump. She and Judge fraudulently valued Mar-a-Lago at Palm Beach, Florida at $18 billion because it set their fake narrative when it's worth 50 to 100 times that amount. They never used the NYS statute for this before. I was not allowed a jury. There was no victim, no default, no damages, no nothing. Only a very happy bank that got all of its money back with big profits. Highly respected experts. I'm going to die if I try to read this fucking thing. He's just screaming into the fucking wind. Like, can you imagine just leaving caps lock off and writing that much? Like, I've written caps lock shit as a joke or as a hey buddy fuck you tweet every so often, one, maybe two sentences. Look at this fucking brick. And he does this all the time.
Yeah, he's panicking. This is
my
panic
God.
writing.
Yeah. And we're supposed to be the snowflakes. Like and the other thing is, like, it's repetitive, and it's obviously, I guess, the best evidence we have that he had that book of Hitler speeches on his nightstand, because he's like, just repeat the propaganda. It doesn't have to be true. Just say it over and over and over and over and over again. Right. Yeah.
How do they get to call liberals
snowflakes?
Snowflakes. I mean, it's every other day. They're banning books. They're trying to deny people the ability to have anything. They want to go after our military. I mean, these are the biggest crybaby bitches that exist today are the Trump supporters. And I mean, absolute, just mind-numbingly stupid. We watch these interviews outside of these Trump rallies, and I'm going to tell you, I don't even understand how they haven't caught on to tell everybody, hey, don't let anybody interview you, because everybody just embarrasses themselves.
Well, here's the thing. The people who walk up and interview him oftentimes are wearing like an American flag or some symbol, and they automatically get a pass. They're the ones who take it for granted. It's like it's Mike Lindell's crucifix. Means fucking nothing. I'm dead serious. The only time that dude spends in church is when he's at one of these mega churches bitching about fucking the Great Reset or something. He's not there for fucking services. Get the fuck out of here. That irritates me. Again, all these bitches who are like going, they're destroying Christianity. They're driving God out of the schools. They're anti-Christian. Like, the only people that are hurting Christianity are you assholes. If you can't talk people into your church, you're not doing your job, because that's how it works. You have to convince them. Hearts and minds, asshole. Meanwhile, speaking of hearts and minds, Trump is in Iowa. He's been in Iowa lately. Here, let me show you his fucking schedule. This is fucking Iowa. This guy was this asshole has already been president. That should count. I mean, the fact that this asshole has to look at this. Look at him barnstorming Iowa before this. Holy shit. You had 98% of the vote. And now you're having to barnstorm Iowa to guarantee that the caucuses work your way, because you got, like, he's his own one-man get out the vote thing. But this is just ass. This makes no fucking sense. Like, he should be able to if he's as popular as he says, he should be able to skip this shit. He should be able to do like three three major ones. People in Iowa will drive if they're your supporters.
Yeah,
Like,
well, and the truth is, it's like
look at that.
Nikki Haley was doing well. She was catching up. She got within 4 points, and then she stepped on her crank with the slavery question. But here's the thing with Donald Trump. If you go to any nowadays, anything that he does, he's slurring his words. To me, I'm like he probably should focus on maybe 3 stops in Iowa and not 33 stops, because I mean, he's at the point now where it's just he's sticking his foot in his mouth every day.
Like he went and spoke to. I'll see if I can find it for the afternoon show, because I got to show people this. He went and spoke to one of these like college Republican groups in their little like meeting room. He gave basically like the Cliff Notes version of the same bullshit speech. He just kind of prattled. It was like a non-yelling version of the post I just read. We had the best economy, best wall, safest thing, and he just kind of like rambled out these things and talked about how like we're going to every little part of Iowa, and it's just, you could tell it's digging on him that he's in these little rooms with little groups and stuff, and he fucking hates it. And there may be 25 people in the room, but he had to do it. The fact that he had to do it should tell you something. Holy shit. And this is for the caucuses. He's hoping he can get big, noisy crowds at the caucuses to be like, to make it look like he's got a Jan 6 in his pocket every. That's what that is. Yeah. But the New Hampshire one, that's a regular vote, and he's going to start losing a bunch of those fucking ones. He's hoping that the caucus will break everybody through and settle it, and that's that. But that's a lot of fucking work for that little.
Well, I hope so. I hope so, because once again. And Jack Smith has already went back and dug all this information up. Jack Smith has countless times that Donald Trump has done something and didn't win, and always reverted to, well, they cheated me. It was I didn't get an Emmy from The Apprentice. They cheated me,
right?
And basically that's Donald Trump's go-to. If he doesn't win, if Donald Trump doesn't win in a race against your 2-year-old grandchild, Donald Trump will scream that it was rigged against him somehow, right? Because that's the accountability for Donald Trump is the worst thing in the world. That's why I tell people, you know what? All they got to do is stick his ass in a jail for 5 days, and I think his heart's going to explode in his chest, and then we're never going to have to deal with him again, because accountability to a person who's never been held accountable feels like torture.
See, I've always had kind of a back end version of this, because I think there's a tremendous release in being totally fucked. I'm sure you've had a couple of moments in your life where like you're just like, I'm fucked. This is over. Yeah. I'm done. And there's if you're a good person. If you're a good person, you kind of go, well, I just guess I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and try again. Fuck, I'm not gonna. What am I gonna do? Roll over? All right, But there's a certain like. Can't get any worse than this. This is pretty shitty. This is pretty much the bottom. I feel like that. Brother. Yeah, right. I know you have. And I have. Like I think a lot of people in the chat can understand that. But I think Trump, in his own way, has fought so hard against people knowing the truth about him and knowing how gross he is and knowing his failures and how broke he is, that at a certain point, that first night in jail might be the first sound night of sleep he's had since 1991, when he forgot to take his Adderall with his benzos and just got knocked out. Right? He just like his downers weren't evened out by his uppers, and so he just passed out. Because this dude, like one of his campaign people was saying, he's like, he barely sleeps. Or I think it was Alina Habba. He barely sleeps. He's so excited to work on this case and all this guy. He's calling me at all hours. You're like, you bet your ass he is. He's fucking he's shit in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy hasn't had a decent night's sleep in a long, long time.
No way.
And sleep's not going to find him anytime soon.
Nope.
Because what he knows, he's caught.
Yes. I think his biggest fear is that he knows there's stuff we don't know. That's the part that gets him. Because all the shit that we know about, he's like, okay, they know about that. I'll fucking, I'll do something. I'll this will be my story for that. Okay, he very reactionary in his lie building. He's built a habit out of it, and then he just hammers and hammers and hammers it. Gets other people who are stupid enough to believe it to hammer it on his behalf, and then it just kind of rolls out. But it's the shit that people are like, did you know about this? That he's like, fuck, he thinks everything's the last straw now because he's burned all the straw that he thinks he can. And there's a bunch of shit back there where like, oh, as they find out about this, I don't know how I'm going to spin that.
Well, you and I look at him as the biggest loser ever.
Right.
And, I mean, it's just every day he's losing again and again. He's losing in another court case. I mean, this guy, his life is over.
Yeah.
Judge Engoron is probably going to give Letitia James the $370 million that Donald Trump owes for defrauding banks and insurance companies. And I'm going to tell you, I love that Fonnie Willis has come out and said, we're not going to give Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, and Mark Meadows a plea deal. Right. Everybody else, it's on the table, but for them, it's not. When they gave Meadows immunity for the January 6th trial, he didn't get nothing. And I think that's great that Fonnie Willis is saying, you know what, he's going to go down because that's RICO charges. And you have to serve 5 years of that to the day before you can be pardoned by anybody. Even Donald Trump will find himself in that category. And that's what I want to see. And I'm really glad to see that. And once again, Donald Trump is losing everywhere. And Ilana Habba is going on this circuit talking shit, but she's garbage. I mean, she's the one that checked the bench trial instead of jury trial, which basically allowed Judge Engoron to look at the evidence and go, you know what? Some bitch is guilty. It was her fault.
Right. Well, and again, she's on like talk shows in his stead, being his surrogate, wearing like Melania's cast-offs, not showing up as his lawyer, not looking. I mean, look, she's a beautiful woman, no question, or she wouldn't have the job. Like the dude does not hire based on quality. For fuck's sake, he hired Ty Cobb as one of his lawyers because the name sounded familiar. Jesus Christ, the guy had a curly Q fucking mustache. He looked like an animatronic Christmas doll, for fuck's sake. That's why he hired him. And it's the same thing with her. But she doesn't, like, if she had any fucking brains at all, she would wear, like, she'd look like what he wants her to look like, which is more than likely not an extra, but a short-run prosecutor on one of the Dick Wolf shows on Law and Order, whatever. You know what I mean? The really attractive, like Jill Hennessy, like that line of beautiful women that have always played those roles where Dick Wolf manages to find the most attractive assistant DAs in history. That's what he's got, the same casting idea, but it's like white trash Law and Order. It's like Law and Order Florida Man is what it is. So real quick, before I'm going to bring on Tara Dublin in just a moment, I want to thank you for being on here. Follow the Major. We put his in the chat room. We have your link on X. The website again, because I'm reading right now, is where are you gonna put it?
You can go turnleftpack.org. We got some really good merchandise, t-shirts and stuff. And then, of course, every night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, I go live on Ojeda Live on YouTube and Facebook. Hal, excellent. I always appreciate you, brother. I always appreciate the conversation. One of the smartest people I've ever met in my life, man. And anytime, brother, like I said, I'm assuming I'm gonna hop on about every Monday. So if you're
I love that idea. Yep, right, absolutely. Brother. It's a big election year. We need to do it. We got to do it. We're not leaving anything in the locker room. It's all on the field. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Cheers.
Airborne.
All right. Airborne. And there he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for him. And I'm going to bring in our dear friend, Tara Dublin, who's waiting in the wings, I believe. Hold on one second. Let me find. There we go. And here, and then I got to go. Yeah, I see her in the background. There she is. I just copied her link and I'm pasting it right now. Don't you know? Meanwhile, hit like, hit subscribe, and share the show. That helps, along with the clips and the like. And let's see, and then I'll change the name on this because You are not the major. You are the one and only Tara Dublin. There she is.
Hi,
Excellent. Oh,
everybody.
hi. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. And also, look at that. What you're wearing your Occidental College shirt? You
I'm
doing that
wearing
like
that.
hot girl thing where you walk around in your college shirt and
I did not
never
go
mind.
to Occidental College, though.
I'm kidding.
I have been.
I didn't go to college at
I'm
all, so I can't. It's not like I'm dunking.
wearing the Occidental College shirt today because it's my son Jack's 25th birthday, and he is a graduate of Occidental College, and I'm a
Aw.
very proud Jewish mother. Here's a picture of Jack when he was little.
Oh, look at Jack and his
Little
mom who
baby
loves
Jack.
him.
Little baby Jack and little baby Jack feet, which are giant and stinky now, and he's all grown
Well, I
up
should
and
hope
has a
so.
beard. He has a beard and a girlfriend and a job where he makes a shit ton more money than I do because I don't make any money, and I could not be more proud.
Aw.
Could not be more. And he shares his birthday with David Bowie, who's one of my favorite humans. That's my favorite song
Right?
ever.
Oh, that's
Heroes.
nice. I'm
And
going to be singing that tomorrow night at the Jam to close out the show.
I think I'll be singing it tomorrow night too because we have our first low bar chorale of the year, and our first low bar chorale is always a David Bowie tribute because it's
Wow.
always right around
Because
his
it's around
birthday.
his
But
birthday,
also,
yeah.
yes, and then but also our low bar chorale began in after he died. And the very first low bar chorale we ever did was at OMSI, which is the Science Museum here in Portland. And we all sang together in the planetarium, and it was beautiful. And we sang all these David Bowie songs, and then we sang some other songs that have to do with space, like Rocket Man and
I packed
some
my
other stuff.
bags
And
last night.
right,
For flight.
exactly. So we'll probably be singing Rocket Man tomorrow night too. But somebody said, why can't we do this all the time? And that is how Low Bar Chorale began. So when you come to Portland, you're going to come to Portland at some point, and you're going to come when we're having a Low Bar Chorale, so I can bring you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that's why I'm wearing the Occidental. By the way, Barack Obama also attended Occidental College.
Well, there you go.
And he
so
attended
it cranks out good people.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And if you're a fan of Arrested Development, they shot a lot of Arrested Development on the Occidental campus, like when the stair car gets caught in the garage. That's at Occidental. We were very excited about that. And he got to have a real graduation, despite the fact that he was a college student mid in the pandemic. And so he finished college online, but then he got to graduate in person. So we got to do that. And just everything about my son Jack makes me proud, and I could talk about him endlessly because he's such a wonderful human being.
I'm the same way about Camden.
You just fell, right?
I have this on my desk. It just
looks like a white blank piece of paper.
No,
to me.
it's hard to see. It'll come into focus.
It says Dad. It says Dad.
Yeah, it's just an envelope that he wrote. He gave me a card, and he just wrote Dad on the card, and so I have it nearby.
I have all of this stuff that when my kids.
This is from a long time ago, by the way. This is like years old. Yeah.
I'm a hoarder like that, and I have so much like old arts and crafts projects and school papers and just packed away because I love my children so much. And so
weird thing. But if you don't like your children, you don't have to leave your farm to them. Some people don't. I always say, if you don't like your children, by the way, Trump said that weird little line about if you don't love your children, that's fine. Just don't leave the farm to them because of the death tax. He said that at that group of young Republicans, the 35 of them he was talking to in a room in fucking Iowa.
Yeah.
And they're first of all, I don't think many of them are confronting their own mortality at this point, but also they're all at that school because they don't want to be farmers. They're leaving. Like they're literally their goal is to move to New York and have 3 wives and snort benzos and Adderall like their hero.
Whatever your life goals are. You were talking earlier about all of his I'm so afraid to talk. Okay, so I got these AirPods. Somebody gifted me with these AirPods.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Yes, and I'm always afraid to touch them because they're gonna fall out of my ear and then we'll get disconnected because they're. Anyway, if we get disconnected or if it falls out of my head,
because you touched your well, don't worry, I got
you covered.
I know.
Touch them like mid using them because I'll hang up on somebody or it'll skip to the next track. Anyway, anyway. You were talking about him like this, like just going to Iowa and like basically just all of
Barnstorming the
that
fucking
stuff.
place.
Did you notice though that those dates that you put up are all weekends because he'll be in court during the week?
Oh yeah.
Did
Oh
you
yeah.
notice that?
Yeah.
So that's what he's going to be, and that is what I predicted prior, like a couple of months ago. I was like, well, I've been saying for a while now that he's going to spend the rest of his life either sitting in or avoiding a courtroom. And when I started talking, I was like, how can a person campaign for any office if they're only restricted to like a half of a Sunday because, or half of a Saturday because they got to go back and rest up to be in court on Monday morning?
Right.
So, and he's facing E. Jean again because he can't stop defaming her.
Right.
That's how he's kicking off his 2024. And I loved what the major was saying. Like, we all need to be starting to have more of a louder conversation about how he's not going to be the nominee.
Right.
Because for all of the reasons that those of us on Earth One acknowledge, but the fact that the Republicans are starting to be like, maybe we should start not supporting him now. Maybe it's now. Maybe we have finally reached, the tipping point.
You think that's
Maybe.
why he's having maybe that whisper or that reality is why he's barnstorming fucking Iowa?
Well, I mean, first of all, 11 people showing up for you is not really encouraging.
Oh,
and the fact that the videos that we saw of him from this weekend, you compare Joe Biden's speech where he's raised already $1 million for his campaign from his speech. And Morning Joe did an amazing side-by-side of Biden's speech. And then Trump going, magnets and the clean and the thing and the air and they want that in my pants. How do you put on your pants?
How do you put on your pants?
Well,
backwards,
I have 6
actually.
people wrestling me into them because I'm a giant baby.
Yeah,
After they diaper me and powder me, then they put on my big boy Sansa-belt pants and I walk around all shiny with my fupa out. That's how I don't want to think about his pants, and no one else wants to think about his pants. And then nobody calls him sir. Nobody respects him enough to call him sir.
Well, no, he makes his staff say it. He makes his staff say it. But generals and other people, like, now they don't have to. Some of them will still say, and when they see him, those that that aren't on the team, that don't go, "You're my president," still, like Mike Flynn or some shit. They will refer to him as Mr. President because that's what we would do with Jimmy Carter and the like, and that's how you do it.
And Barack Obama, of course,
right? And they have and they do
that.
it, and it's not special, and that's what drives him crazy. He has to believe that he's the only one that gets to have that title, which is pretty fucking hilarious.
No.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Epstein list stuff that had come out, because I'm sure you've seen a little bit of the news about it or whatever, but we know now that Trump was on his plane somewhere between 3 and 6 times more than he had initially said, and I did a show, I guess it was yesterday, day before yesterday, where it was Saturday, the radio show. So the reason Trump had a falling out with Jeffrey Epstein was over a piece of property. That Epstein and Trump were bidding on this piece of Florida property, and Epstein kept driving the price up and trying to elbow Trump out of the auction. And Trump never got over it. He called him twice afterwards, like, "Fuck you," and hung up, and then they never spoke again. So this illusion that he did it, I guess that, he was upset because Epstein had hit on the daughter of a rich Mar-a-Lago member. That was the story that had floated, that kind of, while still adding a bit of a creep factor that Epstein was around the property all the time, was like, oh, Trump was, he had a moment of ethics, or he was protecting an underage girl. That's all bullshit. It's all
it is
bullshit. The real reason he kicked him to the curb and they stopped talking was because Trump had to pay $41 million for a piece of property he thought he was going to get for 30 because Epstein kept driving the price up. You know what?
It almost makes you like Jeffrey Epstein. It almost makes you like him.
You know what piece of property it was? It was that house he sold to the Russian oligarch for $98 million. It was that fucking house.
My God.
Right.
The criming and the grifting is endless. And I'm just like, I want to slap every single person who looks at him and is like, that's my guy. How do you
I just don't understand.
Still.
Yeah, I
To
just
this
don't
day.
get it at fucking all. Seriously.
No, I mean, there has to be a point where
Yeah.
any human reaches a breaking moment where they're like, I cannot
Yeah.
justify this anymore. I can't explain this away. I can't false compare it to anything. I can't bring up anything Joe Biden has done to make this better. Like nothing. When the man is like, in
Oh, yeah.
Iowa, and he's like, with his mini hands and his little accordion, and nothing he says makes sense. Nothing.
Yeah.
And
I don't like the magnets thing.
I mean,
If any of those quotes from this weekend would have like they would have been running them on a loop on the Daily Wire, and they would have been I mean, look at Joe Rogan dunking on Biden for not realizing that Biden was making fun of Trump for saying the things about the airports during the Civil War. They took
right.
over
And
the
then,
airports. They did everything they had to
my
do.
God.
Right?
And then also Trump made fun of Biden's stutter
Yeah.
during his speech this
And
weekend.
John McCain's inability to lift his arms above his
To raise
shoulders,
his
which
hand.
came from torture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And
He couldn't get
you
his
know,
arms up for
Donald
some reason, he said.
Donald Trump prefers people who weren't captured, you know. So,
Yeah.
you know, you can't really. He's so disgusting on every level. And the thing that, and especially after following the major, the fact that people just dismiss how disrespectful he is towards his our military
Yeah.
is abhorrent to me because I don't, you know, I certainly didn't serve and I don't have any family members who did, but my respect for people who serve our country is immense. I have so much respect. I will
Yeah.
go up to people in stores who are
Yeah.
wearing veterans caps and I will go out of my way to thank them for their service and I
Yeah.
will tell them how grateful I am that they were able to come home. That's what I say to every veteran I encounter because without our veterans, you and I aren't having a free conversation. We're
Right.
not having an open conversation. We don't have any of our freedoms. And that's why I'm angry when people squandered their votes because people died for the privileges that we squander every single day. Because
Right.
you think, you know, because your snowflake feelings got hurt. And the abnormalcy in our politics that you can trace back to Donald Trump descending a gold escalator. I want to get our politics back on something that resembles the track that it once was on.
Mhm.
And that starts with the end of normalizing Donald Trump. We have to stop normalizing his existence and anyone who supports him. It's
Yeah.
not
He
normal.
should
And it's
be
not
he should
funny.
simply be no, well, it is. And I'll tell you why. Because again, he
I
has
mean,
no
it's
shame, but he can
funny,
be
but
embarrassed.
like the black humor funny.
Yeah,
Like
he's
we have a
mockable.
dark sense of humor about it, but the bottom line is when I, you know, like I got somebody was up my butt yesterday trolling me on Twitter and saying, we're gonna all voting third party because we won't vote for Genocide Joe. And I'm like, you can get all the way fucking bent with that nickname, first of all.
Right.
But then I was like, what third party? What third party candidate do you think is going to be better than Joe Biden
Right.
with his amazing record of
Mhm.
accomplishments that you're going to continue to ignore because he's old?
Well,
Or
if
you
you're
don't-
even
or he-
even a U.S. citizen with your weird cartoon picture and weird name or whatever
If you
like
expect
again,
him to be this magician daddy who's going to snap his fingers and end the situation in the Middle East, no, he's not going to be able to do that. So,
that's the stroke of the pen fallacy that I talk about.
but
You know,
who
right.
is your third party candidate? Who are you backing? And the person would not answer me because Vivek, no. Dean Phillips, dropout Dean, no. Marianne Williamson, no. RFK Jr., hella no. Not when he's lying about Martin Sheen and what was that? RFK, you saw that, right? RFK said he was
Yes.
having a big event and Dionne Warwick was going to be there and Martin
Right.
Sheen and
And they're all
Auntie
like,
Dionne is
"No."
like, I have nothing to do with this.
Right.
And we were all like, blessed because, you know, we were worried about Auntie
Can we-
Dionne. And then we found out President Bartlett wants no part of it either. President
How about
Bartlett
this?
supports
How about it?
President
We'll
Biden.
make it real fucking simple. Real simple. We're not voting for anybody who ever flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane this time. How about that? This time, this one election.
I'm done.
That's it. Not nobody who's been on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at any point ever. We're not voting for them. Period.
Fair.
That's super fucking easy.
Fair.
Even just in general. I'm fine with that idea. It's kind of good.
Is that is that where
right.
our line is now? As long as they just weren't on the Epstein plane, that's where it is. That's the bar we're setting.
Well,
So,
only because there is one particular fellow that I voted for, and I'm going to vote for again, who's nowhere near any of that fucking list. And
would that be Joe
curiously,
Biden?
yes, it would. Indeed, it would. And yet RFK Jr. did, and just kind of like, yeah, a couple times you fly around with people. You just do. You just no, you don't. Not in those years, you don't.
Pretty bad, Cheryl Hines.
They were
Come collect your husband.
They
and
were
get the
calling
fuck away from this.
They were calling it the Lolita Express as early as like 96.
So gross. It's so gross. It's
Fuck
just
off.
disgusting on every level. And the fact that
Jesus
Fox
Christ.
News is like sharing the Epstein list with the glaring omission of Trump. Look at these people who were on the plane. Where's Donald Trump's name? Huh. That's weird.
Hey, you know what I would love? Can we get the Trump flight logs?
Please.
How about that?
Who's been on Trump's plane? Jesus Christ.
Who's been on Trump's plane? Where's Trump's plane flown? Where's the
that black box?
How about his charters? How about that? How about
man.
any plane that Trump has chartered when he doesn't want his own plane to be sighted going someplace? How's that work? Because we know he rode on Epstein's plane when he had one of his own for some fucking reason.
Yep.
Either it was he was cheap or it was serviced or whatever the fuck.
Both. Both.
Yeah.
He doesn't pay for anything out of his own pocket unless he absolutely has to, and even then, he's not going to pay you. If Alina Habba thinks she's getting paid or having her legal fees covered by him, she's a fool, because when has he ever helped anyone? Never. And Alina Habba is not too pretty for prison. She's very pretty. She's not too pretty for prison.
Right.
And I keep, I'll tweet her. I'm like, why do you want to go to prison for Donald Trump so badly when he wouldn't lift a tiny finger to help you? Crazily, she doesn't answer me ever. Just like Marjorie will never answer me, because when they are faced with an actual truth, there's nothing they can do about it. So they ignore it. PMO.
The irony that that of MTG and Boebert, I think Boebert's the grandmother, interestingly enough, right? And at the same time, she
beat up her ex-husband. Keeping it classy, Granny Bobo.
Right.
Keep it classy.
So, and he meets with her. He comes to her house or whatever. So it's I don't know which detail is true, but one of them wanted to meet in public because they didn't trust the other one, and she ends up punching him in the face twice. Yeah.
That's conflict resolution for you. That's how we do it now. He's lucky she didn't shoot him.
Well, shooters, no, but
that point.
But no, shooters closed down. Claim Jumpers is the only restaurant left, right? Because her place was the other place, right? Where everybody was armed. All the waitresses were packing.
I imagine, like, Lauren Boebert's house has nothing but rifles just like lining the walls, and she can just choose which one. Like, she keeps two by the front door so that if someone comes to the door, the first thing you hear is, and then she opens the door.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm no fan of my ex-husband either, and I have plenty to be upset with him about to this day. Sure. Punching him in the nose would never be an option. So, I mean, aside from the fact that he's way taller than I am, we don't resort to violence.
Just an issue of reach.
It's a reach, and just the fact that I'm a normal human being and I don't punch people. Yeah. So, I mean, I can be as frustrated as possible with another human.
Well, again,
he did.
There's a bit of like attracts like, because supposedly he put hands on her, he grabbed her arm to keep her from leaving, and she hit him to get out of there.
It's so hot, and I bet they had like dirty anal in his back seat of his car.
Oh my God, ew. This
is their pattern.
Right.
That's their pattern.
That's the cycle.
Fucking fight. Right. Come on. Right. I mean, people do that. That's it.
Then we go to the bowling alley and you can show your dick to some teenagers, and then I'll get a snow cone.
Let's do it.
Right. Yeah.
So gross. That's what happens when you grow up without a dad and your mom's a giant horror and also helps you commit insurrection. Because let's not forget that Lauren Boebert brought her mom around the Capitol with some other friends on January 5th.
Right.
Please do not forget. Like, in all of the discussion about January 6th over the weekend, which, by the way, MAGA is now calling Entrapment Day. Did you hear that?
Yeah. Well, that's...
So, because they're hostages. Fuck you, Elise Stefanik. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So the hostage thing.
There's so much around this I want to talk about.
So these folks are hostages. that Trump could have pardoned
because
from ever being a hostage, and they're hostages and feds, and they were duped into doing this, and Trump told them not to, but they did anyway. But it was a false flag as well. How soon will we see like the hashtag Ashley Babbitt was a Fed start trending? Because at some point,
they're trying so hard to rewrite the history that we all witnessed live. It's
right.
really hard to do that because we're not going to let you get away with that. And absolutely, the survivors are not going to let you get away with that. Harry Dunn is running for Congress. There's your constant reminder of January 6th, okay? So of all of the narratives, what keeps getting lost in the narratives of January 6th is how much help the insurrection has had from the inside. And then the new video that emerged where it's like Mark Wayne Mullen, his name is Mark Wayne, and then the other senator whose name is falling out of my head with the broken glass, and he's pointing the gun, and the insurrection like, load us in. And they were like, oh shit. You know, like the Frankenstein analogy of my monster is now, you know, out of control.
Let me out of here. I'll break your goddamn heads in, mommy. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
All of that.
Hey,
we saw nothing but extra coward. Like, release all the J6 tapes. Why? So we can see how much of a fucking coward you were, Mark Wayne. So all of the narrative that they're trying, none of it's going to work because we all witnessed it. There is also, I saw a great thread from Representative Robert Garcia talking about how the Republicans keep going to visit the patriots in prison.
Right.
And he discovered they go and take photo ops with them.
Yeah.
They treat them really well. Those hostages are being treated better than black and brown inmates. And then one of the insurrectionists tried to shake Rep Garcia's hand, and he was like, fuck you, I'm not touching your hand. He said he was like disgusted by how his Republican colleagues fawned all over them, but yet they come out and say they're being treated terribly. I'm like, well, Marjorie's afraid of going to prison, so she's going to project all of that. And it's just, I don't know how many times I can tweet the video of her walking down those steps from the White House on December 20th saying, we're gonna do this, and President Trump, and we're planning this, and January 6th, and then she went to plant some bombs at the DNC. So yeah, I still think she's the bomber, and I don't know why they haven't put that, because like every time I put that video on my Twitter, somebody always responds with the side that's like, here's the bomber, and here's Marjorie walking in the same exact stance.
The gait, like that she has a similar gait in how she walks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Body type. And they released a thing where they were like, the bomber is between 5'1" and 5'5", and how many different people who would fit that? Marjorie and Bobo. It wasn't a dude.
It's not, and it's not Bobo. And also, I'd like to say for the record, I think the biggest evidence that it might indeed be her is that neither of the bombs worked. That they were
book bombed.
Yeah, right. Right. If she wants to make a bomb, she should actually use a word processor, or a ghostwriter.
Printed for her. Her ghostwritten pile of crap, which tanked so badly because and they had to turn off the reviews on Amazon.
Which might be.
I mean,
we can.
It wasn't this book. It wasn't as successful as this book is doing. We'll get back to that in a minute.
That's right. I think you have to have a signing at an actual place where people actually show up.
I need an actual publishing deal, but
this is not. I'm not putting on a tinfoil hat here. I'm putting on my like true crime binge watcher hat. But you remember how everybody made a big deal about Jamal Bowman slowing down the vote on something by pulling the fire alarm, and he's gotten a misdemeanor charge, and that's a real thing, and it was stupid and blah blah blah. Could the bombs? The fake bombs, the inert bombs being placed at both of those places be an initial attempt to try and shut down the count or delay it before Jan 6 actually happened. That those weren't bombs meant to go off. They were meant to cause a national terrorism emergency, like calling in a bomb scare or calling in a fire to get people to, to maybe they lock down the Capitol for 24 hours and it gives Trump another, cycle to do it. And the whole point was to, inert terrorism.
Maybe, but I mean, they tried everything they could to delay the vote, and they They only delayed it until after midnight
Right.
into the early morning hours of January 7th. So, and the other, I'm sure that there are things we're never going to know about what happened. But what I do
Mhm.
know is that, there was nothing
Right.
they were ever going to do that was going to prevent Joe Biden from taking office.
Right.
You just, sorry you lost. And so, get,
Not sorry.
and the get over it, people. Get over the fact that an 11-year-old was murdered, the other day. And, Donald Trump
Right.
saying get over a child being murdered by gun
Right.
violence is another thing
By
that's disgusting.
by the way, by a kid who was assembling his guns in the bathroom and paused momentarily to because he made a TikTok video about it before he did it, and he
Oh
wrote
my
in
God.
other comments, and one of them was, "There's an N word here. I have to wait for them to leave so I can assemble my gun."
Oh my God.
Yeah. So the idea that
I'm
yeah.
so disgusted by this, the hatred in this country that Donald Trump has normalized for everybody. He's like,
Hmm.
I hate everybody. And people are like, I hate everybody too. Let's talk
Hmm.
about it all the time.
Well, that's
The
again,
state,
that's part and parcel to, I think, the shortest distance between 2 points being a straight line, and that social media creating a straight line that hides the length of the line. That there's this immediate thing where somebody in their mom's basement in Georgia can chat with somebody who's in another country who's pretending to be somebody who's in their mom's basement in Seattle, and suddenly they think they have a friend who's telling them everything they want to hear, and going, I'm not alone in my bigotry and hatred, right? And it used to be you had to print leaflets or racist cartoons or make comic books or write books, and like the Protocols of the Elders of Zion or the Turner Diaries and shit. And you had to get a printed copy of it, and it was hard to do it. Now everything, since it's available online, the up and the downside is that these folks feel like, and much to their chagrin, by the way, that they are not alone, because they fucking are. That's the interesting thing. I'm
yeah.
not worried about a giant Jan 6, because again, what was it? The percentage of people who actually went to the Capitol from the crowd that was in front of him that day is probably about 5%. That 5% is very dangerous in that context, but spread over the United States, and not located in one particular area, the damage they can do is far lower than anything it would take to turn this country around. If you don't believe me, look at the 2020 George Floyd riots and recognize that they did almost nothing. You know what I mean? Ultimately, they really, really did. I mean, the
Right.
people whose minds needed changing, they haven't changed their minds, and
No, and
everybody
they're
else
not
just
going to.
stood they stood in agreement, but they were already standing for the most part.
Yeah.
That's because that's how the country really does feel about it. So these guys
Exactly.
like spread out all over. My worry is like these lone wolf idiots. That Trump doesn't, he just wants to see somebody pop off and kill somebody, and he wants it to be like, it's almost like a meaningful body count. He's wondering why he doesn't have a shooter like Bernie had that got Scalise. That's part of what's grinding him, it seems. It's gross,
well,
but
he expects everybody else to do his dirty work for him.
right. Yeah,
And it's all part of his deeply rooted narcissism, that he expects this and demands this loyalty and demands retribution for things that the perceived faults against, the perceived things against him. I'm a perfectly innocent person, and it's what they do to me. I didn't do it. Like, you were reading that
It's
humongous,
just so
ridiculous
fucking
all caps
whiny.
rant.
Right.
That his all caps rants, which are nothing but projection, nothing but admissions of his own guilt, and he cannot tolerate any truths about himself, because that's why he hates himself so much, and why he hates his children, and why he hates anybody who fails him,
Right.
because they're not it's almost, it reminds me again, I'm just going to go back to my ex-husband, who's also a narcissist. If a woman is not performing some sort of function, she's useless. That's the worst thing he could say about a person. So when Donald Trump has people around him who he deems useless, he gets all baby angry and throws another fit, and then throws somebody else under the bus, and then his followers go after that person, and it's always shifting the blame away from him. Excuse me. And so this has been his MO his entire life, because he's never been forced to accept blame, accept responsibility. And just because someone doesn't accept responsibility, that doesn't mean you don't hold them responsible.
Right.
And
Well,
because somebody makes your life a little difficult, or somebody might write a mean tweet about you, that doesn't mean shirk from your responsibility of speaking the truth about them. And I don't know,
look
to this day, I don't
look
know
at
why
all the
people are
shit.
scared of him.
It's weird, like like look at all the shit he talked about Obama not being from this country and all kinds of like him, liking the things that Rush Limbaugh said about Obama and the stuff they say about Michelle and all that kind of stuff. And it's and yet they just shrugged it off and still have a cheery demeanor and get on with it and actually accomplish some shit. All the shit they talk about Biden and the Biden crime family, which again sounds about as scary as Apple Dumpling Gang.
Right.
That's why it doesn't work. That's why,
Well,
like
the biggest crime in the Biden family is Joe finishing the ice cream, so there's none left for everyone else.
right, yeah. And remember,
Probably.
well, and maybe this is all big ice cream feud. Because remember how Trump, like, he was the only person allowed to have 2 scoops of ice cream and everybody else got 1. Remember that
Big
bullshit?
fucking child.
I know.
He's so jealous of Joe Biden. Everything that's happening is because Donald Trump's parents didn't love him, and Donald Trump doesn't love his children.
No.
And Joe Biden is an amazing father and grandfather and just an all-around great human being, and he loves people, and he loves being president, and he loves talking to people. And Donald Trump hates humanity because he hates himself. So I don't understand. Like, I don't understand people looking at him and going, "Still my guy."
Right.
That's so, yeah, no. Like, fucking Elise Stefanik. Can we talk about Elise Stefanik yesterday on Meet the Press? Can we talk about that and how ineffective Kristen Welker is, and how nobody pushes back when anybody, when they have the Republicans on? Elise Stefanik called the prisoners hostages, and circling back to that.
All the people,
My point is,
prisoners
who made them go?
that got bond
Hostages. Were they
hearings.
shanghaied?
Right.
Did somebody, like, was there a person who went around the entire United States of America with a giant truck and said, "Hey, you're an insurrectionist.
Hey,
I'm
maggot,
Shanghai.
hop
Come
in.
on, you like Trump, right? Get in the truck. I'll drive us all to Washington." And everyone was like, "No, no, no, I cannot do that. I must stay home." No, you all went willingly. You had fucking T-shirts printed saying "Civil War."
You brought bear
brought
spray and
bear spray and
industrial
weapons.
hornet spray. Like, they literally sprayed industrial hornet spray, the kind that, like, the Orkin man shows up with on fucking cops, like, in their face.
Lumber to build a gallows. They brought a rope to tie into a noose.
Yes.
When I took my kids to
Ashley
Washington,
Babbitt
DC,
had a
and
knife on her, and you couldn't, and a backpack. Like, there's no question. She was carrying a knife.
So
They had zip
tell me
ties.
it wasn't a
They showed up
coordinated
with
effort.
zip ties. Right.
Right? Don't tell me it wasn't a coordinated effort. Don't tell me Nancy Pelosi did it. Don't tell me it was Christopher Wray's fault. Don't tell me it was the FBI. It was fucking Trump supporters, because Trump made them come. Trump told them to come. And then Trump said, if Mike Pence doesn't do it, go get him. Go get him. Go get Nancy Pelosi. I'll be right there with you. And then he wasn't with them because he's a fucking coward.
Right.
He abandoned them all. He promised people pardons and then didn't give those pardons out. And those people stay loyal.
Yeah, if they're hostages, aren't they hostages to Donald Trump's lack of pardon? Isn't that what they...
I mean, who knows? Why would you stay loyal? If someone kept making me promises and kept breaking their promises to me, eventually I would catch on and go, I don't think you're following through on this.
Oh, you mean like
Call me
Comer's constituents?
Exactly. Just anybody who believes anything Donald Trump says is a fucking moron. Because when has he rewarded anybody? When has he come through for anyone? When has he ever put someone's interests ahead of his own? Never, ever.
Well, it's like I've said that, if you look at it by the merits, you take his name off of it. His Republican presidency was a run-of-the-mill, low-res Republican presidency, more on par with George H.W. Bush than anybody else. He got a tax cut through that the Republicans had already drafted themselves. All he had to fucking do was sign it. He got, it was a lot of, other than the bluster and the tweeting, the vast majority of what actually happened, which wasn't fucking much, was just, standard deregulation Republican bullshit. the problem is that he was so, on a personal level, so hell-bent with removing anything that had Obama's name on it, that he got rid of the cops program, and he got rid of the pandemic response team 2 years to the fucking day, practically, to when George Floyd died and COVID started. Like, he can't see past the end of his fucking nunt, and recognize that there's a, there are problems you will have to prepare for as a fucking adult. He just thinks there's going to be a bailout around the corner at some point, or if there isn't, he'll bullshit his way out of it, or stand behind the other losers who are involved in the same shit that he's doing and go, it was them, which is what he does in a lot of his like real estate holding shit back in the day.
Well, any scapegoat in a storm for him, right? Any port in a storm, any scapegoat in a storm for Donald Trump. Anybody he can dump his shit on, he will, and then he'll drive a bus over them. That's what he does. The fact that his pattern of behavior is so obvious, and I don't know why more people haven't caught on to it. And then it just harkens back to, what is it that he has over all of the people who are remaining loyal to him? Because that group is shrinking by the day.
Right.
And he's losing the people who are like not in his inner circle. Like, he'll keep his inner circle and those close to him who continue, who are, if they're still bloviating for him today, they're not going anywhere. But he's losing like that outer sort of, like, when you have Adam Kinzinger talking about how stinky he is, and then you have Leonard Leo and the rest of the Federalist Society trying to get him
distance
off the ballot, and
and
it's not Democrats and it's not Joe Biden who removed him from the ballot in Colorado. It was Republicans who initiated that, and he's going to get removed from the ballot in more states, and he doesn't have time to go and fight all of that. His lawyer doesn't have enough resources to fight all of those.
I have no
so he's
idea.
not going to be the nominee.
Oh, excellent, Andrea. Thank you. I'm still baffled slightly as to why people don't notice or pay attention to the fact that, because of how the 14th Amendment and the Section 3 of it is drafted, that had he done a Jan 6 in 2017, had he lost that election and done the exact same fucking thing, like note for fucking note, he would have still been able to run for office.
It's disgusting.
It's
disgusting who can run for office. The FEC really needs to step up.
Well, no, it's only because he had not yet sworn an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. Once you do that, the standard for your behavior from that point on is higher.
Right.
You have more responsibility with that. But he doesn't think with more privilege comes more responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. Like, that's antithetical to his entire existence.
He doesn't take any responsibility, never has, never will.
Right.
And I think for the most part, and I said this while he was still running in 2016, but he has no concept of how to run the country, because he drives every business he's ever owned into the ground, and you can't run the country like a business. But I think he expected everyone else to do the work while he kind of sat back like this and took the credit for it and wouldn't actually have to do anything. He's a giant lazy sack of crap. He doesn't work. He just wants to play golf. That's all he wants to do. Similarly, how George W. Bush never wanted to be president. He wanted to be commissioner of baseball. And so he kind of like let his dad's committee run things for him because he wasn't really interested in being president. So it's the same sort of treating our democracy so casually. Like, I don't really care about him. I'm going to let these fuckos run it for us and let them do whatever they want. And I'm just going to walk around and like strut like a peacock, like I did something in my shiny blue suit.
Well, he also thought he could do a lot more through executive order or sort of like automatically because of the myth he had told about Obama so many times. And again, this is sort of it's not the beginning of the fallacy that you could, the just stroke of the pen fallacy that I talk about, where you can just kind of, I can do anything because I'm the president. Because listen to the way they talked about Obama the entire time he was in there, that they could just do this. I mean, fucking TYT does this shit all the fucking time. Oh, we lost Tara. I pointed my thumb at her and she vanished. That's just what happens. Is Portland on fire? Did Portland eat Tara again? Portland, give us Tara back. What did you do, Portland? I should have like flames that just kind of trickle under her Tara, come back. Any kind of fool could see I was wrong, and the kidney came and got you. Look. Did she touch her AirPods? Is that what it was? She's coming back. She's almost back. Uh-oh. She's there. I see her in the background. Oh.
My
Round
power
two.
went out.
Oh, no. Hold on.
Portland. It's just raining a little bit. My power went out.
Oh, wow.
Power went out. Building across the street, the power's out.
That's cool. So
I'm on my hi. So
hi.
Here. I'm gonna sit near the window now, so there's some light.
No, it's good.
And I'm on.
Yeah.
And I'm on my cellular, and I can see my
window.
Okay, out the window in Portland, which does still exist. I can see my building manager and my
Facades.
maintenance manager talking to the people across the street because the block is out of power. It's just raining a little. It's not even like storming, but the whole it's all out. And oh my God, that's terrifying. It's supposed to snow this weekend, and I would have expected it to happen then.
Well, it's better that it did it now then.
Well, maybe, but like
yeah.
There's really no
you know what happened? You know what happened? You touched your fucking AirPods. No, you touched your AirPods and you turned the power off on the entire block.
Wow, I'm that powerful.
You are. You're that powerful.
Amazing. If I'm powerful, then I should be able to get a book deal for myself immediately.
I agree. So, also, before you walk over to a window and show your actual street like a maniac, I'm going to let you go so you can save your phone charge for later.
I'm fine.
Okay.
I have a full charge on the phone. Here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Look at that.
It's facing this is my bedroom, and I'll just be like this.
That's good.
Now you can't see my actual street.
No, that's true. But we can see your boudoir. Oh yes.
There's nothing interesting in my boudoir. Honestly, there's my bed,
which is made.
Been by myself. Well, actually not by myself, but with the cats, because I'm a MAGA bingo card. I'm a crazy cat lady who's single and Jewish and lives in Portland.
Right. So, yeah.
Bingo card.
Right.
Yep, that's right. Look at that. Here we are. Okay. And Duke and Maxine will probably jump up on the bed at some point. So anyway, as we were saying, what were we talking about?
Oh,
January 6th or Trump or something?
Well, the main thing being, of course, that, the idea that Trump is now calling them hostages or whatever, that's just his new talking point that he thinks will land. It doesn't work. And it certainly doesn't work with it.
Well, at least Stefanik sure tried it, and Kristen Welker didn't push back on that. And if if I was interviewing someone and they said the J6 hostages, I'll be like, what now? Who's a hostage?
Yeah.
Who's a hostage?
Oh,
who
that was the point.
Them?
Right.
Who threw them in a bag.
That's where
and
we
made
were.
Them go to the Capitol, and then who made them breach the Capitol?
Right.
Nobody made them do shit.
Very seldom. And again, here's why they're calling them hostages. You want to know exactly why? Because he can't call them prisoners of war. That's what they want to call them. They call them political prisoners.
Prisoners of war either.
No, but that's the way they view them, though. I'm dead serious. They view them as prisoners of war. Our soldiers were attacking, and you took them, and now you've got them in prison. And we want there's going to be some fucking MAGA prisoner exchange, right? But here's the thing: they can't justify calling them prisoners of war because that's something the QAnons do. That's something Mike Flynn does, but it can't work its way up into that shit, or they're in big trouble.
They're in prison because they committed crimes against the United States.
Yeah, totally. But calling them hostages is their way of getting. First of all, you go get hostages, or you seize them in their place of work or whatever. You hold them there. You take people hostages in a bank, for example, that you're robbing or some shit like that. You don't wait for them to attack your house and then give them due process, a lawyer if they can't afford one, multiple bail hearings where some of them say, if you let me out today, I'll do the same fucking thing, MAGA, 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 or spit on guards and end up in solitary because they threaten the lives of the guards saying that they're UN shock troops or Soros foot soldiers or some shit like that. And again, if you're a hostage and you do that, I'm just saying your hostage taker is ass.
Right. Well,
they're not very tough.
If I did anything that the J6 terrorists did, I'd be in prison, and I would be they would be justified in doing that. If you commit a crime, do the
Hmm.
crime, do the time, you know, and if you don't think that you're committing a crime when you're breaching the Capitol with a flagpole to stab policemen, and then you
Mm.
decide to pause to take a shit and rub it all over the Capitol walls, if you think that's not terrorism, if you think that J6 was just, you know, like a garden party that got a little off the rails, perhaps, or
Hmm.
why was Josh Hawley running away, or all like if you can't look at the real footage and
Yeah.
see what it is, you are willfully obtuse. You are deliberately trying to obfuscate. You are it's a deliberate choice
Hmm.
to deny reality that is presented to you. And even when even told the truth about stuff on Fox News now. Like they reported accurately on Fox that Joe Biden's January 6th speech raised him $1 million. And
Yeah.
they've also reported that the economy is like amazing, and that's all thanks to Joe Biden, and Bidenomics is working, and you have all of these things because of Joe Biden. And then the Fox cult audience is like, I don't believe you. I won't
Right.
believe you. I only believe the Trump man. So when you're up against that, when you have Elise Stefanik not getting pushed back against by Kristen Welker on MSNBC, when you have this pervasive
Hmm.
normalization of the completely abnormal, the onus is on people like you and I and the Major and Bob Seska, who I'll be on with on Wednesday, and all of the people who are what I've been calling the Resistance 2024.
Hmm.
Um, the truth has to be screamed.
Yeah.
It has to be amplified louder than ever now. And the reason is because the reason it matters more than ever now is we can see how scared they are.
Yeah.
Like we were always kind of guessing about them being scared about being found out, or Donald Trump not wanting to, you know, anybody finding out about this shit. We're finding out about so much more.
Yeah.
And they can't, they can't show us anything to exonerate Donald Trump. So it's all about moving the goalposts to a new place where they can all gather and feel safe. So that's why now they're starting to call January 6th entrapment day. Who
Hmm.
entrapped you, Tiny? Who made you go
Trump.
there? Nobody. Nobody put a
Trump.
gun to
They were
anybody's head
entrapped
and
by
said, go
they
to
were entrapped by the guy who was using them as sucker bait. This is, by the way, I'm not going to play the video on it because I don't want my show kicked off of the internet. But this is the moment before Ashley Babbitt got shot. See all that shit right there? That's all stuff that is piled up against the door to barricade it. See that glass? That's from them trying to bash their way through. Right before she
the
went.
speaker's lobby.
That's right. And there are down that hall, you can see people still evacuating. When that camera came around, you can see them
Fucking
still.
terrifying.
Yes, they're trying to get away, including Republicans, by the way, because these assholes wouldn't have cared. And Ashley Babbitt, who's standing right over here,
Right.
punches a dude in the face so she can be the first one through the glass. She's got a backpack on, God knows what the fuck's in it, the day after bombs were left at the DNC and the RNC headquarters, and she's got a knife. And she gets shot, and nobody else goes through the glass. Nobody, that's it. It was a one-shot end to that moment, that whole group redirected. And there was a chance that it was very possible that if these assholes were way more committed to this craziness, he would have either emptied his gun, killing whoever else came through there if they weren't armed themselves and decided, okay, this is when we pull it and use it, which was another possibility because it's just fucking glass. Or he just shot who he could shoot, and then the rest of them came through and beat the fuck out of him and killed him. That's it.
Yeah.
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 She got shot, and they all just went, oh shit. Some of them dragged her away, but the rest of them just fucked off because it was a game to them.
And then they realized this is actually real.
Right.
And we are so lucky that they were that stupid and disorganized, and they weren't really prepared.
Yeah, we're lucky that the biggest coup attempt in the United States history was run by somebody as ineffective and as big a loser as Donald Trump. Because if they had a fucking brain cell between them, we'd all be fucking speaking MAGA right now.
Even after Marjorie gave recon tours and said, this is how you get here, and this is how you get there.
Yeah.
They still couldn't figure it out. And if it wasn't for Eugene Goodman misdirecting them.
Yep.
which I remember watching Eugene Goodman live, and he was like, okay, come here, go this way. I was like, the fuck are you doing, dude? Why are you helping them? And then we found out he wasn't helping them.
Well, it's the
He
same
was
thing with
leading them in the opposite direction.
Well, that's what
And so,
when they let people in the doors at one point, there was a big group of those folks, and they're like, look, if we get it, we'll close off these doors, and then you guys start bringing them in through these doors, and they can't go anywhere except out. And so a bunch of these people ended up walking through the rotunda, out through a hallway, down a flight of stairs, and they were back outside. And they're like, oh, that was whatever. They ended up, they walked through the whole fucking building and didn't do shit because that was the strategy. We don't have enough people to fight back. If we try, we'll get killed. Some of our cops are already, injured, and we don't have enough people to cover this, and we don't want to open fire on these fuckheads. So it's floodwaters. Treat them like floodwaters. Divert the floodwaters, and that's exactly what they did. And my problem is, and I think I find this to be an issue with both Ukraine and Israel and Gaza and all these things, is that I'm supposed to suddenly forget everything I've ever heard or known about law, the responsibility of a human being, trespassing, true crime, any war documentary or movie I've ever seen. I just have to throw that all out and pretend we're operating from scratch in all these areas so a bunch of people can spoon feed me their particular talking point, and I'm supposed to ignore the reality that we've all lived through in these. And I especially
we can't let it happen.
No. That diverting of people through those things was one of the most brilliant tactics on January 6th. And the fact that it gets turned in, and because they're like, these people are followers, right? Okay, well, follow me. Come here. Here, I'll show you. Come here. You want to see it? Come here. We'll go this way. And they walked them right out the fucking back door. It was brilliant.
Right?
Yeah.
We are so lucky.
Yeah.
Because any footage for me, once they're in the Capitol, it's such a feeling of violation. Like they might as well have been ransacking every single one of our houses.
Yeah.
Because it feels that personal. It feels that personal when someone attacks your government. The seat of your government is being attacked by our own citizens. And when is that ever okay? When is it ever okay to attack your own government and be like, we weren't attacking our government, we were attacking the Democrats. The Democrats are your government, you fucking morons.
Yeah.
So anything.
Well, no, and they were attacking. They were there to attack Republicans as well. They were there they were saying hang Mike Pence. That's their.
Mike Pence didn't overthrow.
Over that's one heartbeat away. Right. That's their guy.
But the other thing that I would say, I was saying all along, is if they encountered a Republican in the hallways, they wouldn't know unless it was like a famous Republican. Like if it was Ted Cruz, they might have given Ted Cruz a pass. But if a senator that they didn't know kind of flies under the radar and just goes to work and does his job, and every single one of them looks the same because they're all wearing the same pin on their lapels, they don't know a Democrat from a Republican.
Right.
Plenty of Republicans would have died that day if they had any sort of real.
And there was a bunch of them that would have died when they knew. Right. Like there were a bunch of them that they wanted to get rid of. That they were like the rhino talk is some of the most violent shit they say.
Yeah. And they were mad about not getting let into the Senate chamber, so they would have killed Markwayne Mullin to get through that door.
Yep.
And then eventually, when they finally evacuated the chambers, and then the insurrectionists got in there and they got to the podium and they're looking at the paperwork and they're like, "Oh, Ted Cruz would love this."
Right.
Why did nothing happen to Ted Cruz?
Because people are hoping he'll just go away. Right.
That's not. He can't just go away. There has to be accountability for him. He's one of the architects.
Besides living the rest of his life as Ted Cruz, I suppose. You're right.
He's already.
That's pretty bad.
Obviously, that's a life sentence to begin with.
It is.
The fact that after they regrouped and did the vote after midnight, Ted Cruz still stood on the Senate floor and pushed to delay the vote after surviving this failed coup. You can't tell me he wasn't involved with it, because he fought to make sure, even after what happened, still fought to hold off the certification of the vote for Joe Biden. So all of their behavior pointed to their guilt. And obviously everyone who was involved is responsible, but at least a couple of days after, Kevin McCarthy stood up and said, yes, this is Trump's fault. This is all on him. And then 2 days later, he was at Mar-a-Lago going, actually, everything's fine and I love Trump.
Right.
So it's just, I
Yeah.
actually sometimes I wonder, like, MAGA must get really confused because, like, sometimes they're like, "We hate Kevin McCarthy." Wait, we have to like Kevin McCarthy. Oh, we have to hate Matt Gaetz. Oh, we have to love Matt Gaetz. We have to hate Jim Jordan, but we love
Yeah.
the
But that's where they are.
which
That
ones are good
right
and which
now.
ones are bad.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious how they have been turning on themselves with regularity. Like it's
Always
hard for me to
going
find.
to.
They don't bother going after, like, they'll perfunctorily, like Glenn Beck and that crowd. They'll go after Biden in kind of an abstract way, but their real venom is for their own these days, especially. Like I said, there was never going to be enough popcorn for 2023. There definitely won't be for 2024. Trump, on the last note before I lose you, I want to remind everybody to get your book, The Sound of Settling, which is in the other room.
It's available at taradublinrocks.com. I've now sold 423 copies.
Look at
And I'm
that.
closing. I know, and I'm closing in on almost 19,000 pages read on Kindle, and it's now reached the point, like, the new year,
Mm-hmm.
Merry New Year, by the way, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the first like
Happy
real
New
work
Year. In this
day.
country, we say Happy New Year. Sorry, we're both quoting
Jerky?
Trading Places. Yeah.
Beef
Beef jerky
jerky?
time? Oh no, it gives me the wind. Something terrible.
Something fair,
Ooh.
yeah. So we are moving. We are
You're
moving.
moving.
Anyway, I love that movie so much. So,
Ha 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 ha.
so my book, The Sound of Settling, keeps getting
Yeah.
rave reviews. The last review just came in, and the headline was better than I expected. And I was like, well, thank you so much, because people are like, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know what to expect because I'm political and I'm this, that, and the other thing. And my book is not this. It is not this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rock and roll love story. And all of my readers are just blazing through it. Like 2 people have read the book in the last 3 days. The
Awesome.
whole book. The whole book. Hal, do you even have my book?
I don't have a physical copy of it.
You have the Kindle?
Huh? No, I have
Kindle?
I have a Kindle app on my iPad.
So you could download it to your Kindle app.
It's true. That's true. It's true.
Yes,
I'd rather
yes,
have a paperback, and I was going to get it in person and
You'll
surprise
get.
you,
You
but
can get one when you
all
come to
right.
Portland. I'd be very happy to give you one. We can.
No, I don't want to.
work
No,
on
no, no.
that.
I buy all my friends' books. You want
So then
hold
order the
hold
paperback.
that thought. Hold on. Let me show you something real quick. Let me see.
The paperback from taradublinrocks.com, and then you bring it with you to Portland, and then I sign it for you. If I had a real publishing deal, I could go on a book tour and sign a bunch of books for people, but I don't. I need an
I don't have time
agent.
to.
I need a
Yeah.
real publishing
I,
deal, but yes.
I don't have time to run upstairs and get my copy of Richard Marx's book, which I bought myself, and he was
don't mean
eventually going to have to
nothing.
sign for me. But this is Vincent D'Onofrio's kids' book, Pigs Can't Look Up.
That's so cute.
It's fucking adorable, and we love Vincent D'Onofrio.
Tell him
Yeah,
I said
I
hi.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, at some point I have to do like I'm gonna do a reading channel where I just like use my old man voice and just read books to everybody and just calm down.
Time.
Yeah. So
I love that. I love that. So go to taradublinrocks.com. You
mhm.
can it'll just direct you right to Amazon, and you can buy the paperback there, and then you'll just bring
Excellent.
your paperback with you whenever you finally come to Portland, and I'll
Mhm.
sign it for you. I would love to do a proper book reading, but I can't do that because it's a self-published book. And
Right.
for me to order author copies, I can do that
Oh yeah,
at a
it's a lot.
reduced price. But it's still like if
But
I
still,
wanted to do a proper book reading, I would have to order like 100 books, which would cost me $500 or whatever, which I don't have. I don't have any money because I just paid rent. Please hire me. Please sign
mhm.
me. So for now, like, because a
Mhm.
lot of people want an autographed copy, which I'm very flattered by. So
Mhm.
if you want that, I would say you could Venmo me like $25. I'll order the book, sign it, and mail it to you. But it would, because the paperback is $14. And so for me to
Yeah.
make a little bit of money on it,
Yeah,
I
you
would
have to.
need you to.
Yeah,
And I don't get the
that's why
royalties
the
until
print
60 days
industry
later.
is such a giant storied industry, no pun intended, is because it's a lot. It takes a lot.
And there's a
Before
lot of
we
mythology around getting published.
by the
Do
end of
you
this,
watch this?
everybody's we're gonna make you working. You're gonna be working on your next book by the spring. But I
I'm
insist.
working on it. I've written
Yeah.
200 pages of the sequel already.
All
200
right.
pages.
Look at
I'm
that.
prolific like that. So
Yes, you are.
there's yes, and I actually already have an idea for the third book, so it could be a trilogy.
Hmm. Yeah.
I am an untapped writing gold mine. And the fact that I don't have a job writing about politics is abhorrent when I had 2 different writing jobs about politics a year ago at this time. And
Right.
they were running out of truth tellers. and I'm one.
Hmm.
And if Kristen Welker's not going to do it, I'm right here,
Seriously.
MSNBC. If I was sitting across from Elise
No, if
Stefanik,
they
I would
wanted that,
fucking
they
make
wouldn't have
her
gotten rid of
cry.
Mehdi Hassan.
He's leaving. He's gone.
I know, that's what I mean. Yeah.
He tweeted today he's leaving MSNBC.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they let him go.
truth
I don't know.
tellers.
I don't know what was going on there. He blocked me years ago,
That's
and
too
I
bad.
never really figured out why. Right? I don't see anything in what I say that would warrant that. So maybe it was just kind of, he'd had too many scotches and it was just he was feeling sensitive. It's hard to say.
Would you
I'd
like
love
me to
to.
ask him for you?
I would love that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I
Maybe
don't know if
that's
he'll respond to
maybe
me, but I'll try.
somebody saying Mehdi is no different than TYT. Well, then that may be the issue. That may be the thing they were running up
Well,
against.
then
Is
never
that
mind.
yeah,
No, I mean, and it's just disappointing. They could have given Meet the
yeah,
Press to anybody, and they gave it to Kristen Welker, and it's like, wonderful, you gave it to a woman of color. Terrible, she doesn't do any pushing back against the
hmm
Republicans. That's a problem. That's a huge
hmm
problem. So I'm right here. I always tell the truth, whether it's about Democrats or Republicans. Get out of
hmm
our Congress, Bob Menendez. What the fuck?
yeah. Fuck off.
So, right? So it's
Yeah.
out there
Okay.
has to want this voice.
On our way out the door, real quick, thoughts on I guess tomorrow's big thing about Trump immunity. He's
Get immunity.
yeah,
Ever.
no, right. So and he's seeking protection under double jeopardy because he was impeached for it already and found guilty. So he thinks that gives him double jeopardy. That's how fucking dumb. That's amazingly
This is what happens
stupid.
when you get your lawyer off of a billboard in Queens. Okay.
Yeah.
You are not getting away with any of this. All of this is just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah.
I have said this repeatedly. Everything is a smokescreen. If he's still breathing, he's lying. He is never going to have a moment of peace until the day he dies. And
Yeah.
even then, it's going to
Yeah.
hurt. I
It's
hope,
gonna be
you know,
miserable.
because
No.
I always say, death is too easy and out for him. There has to be accountability before he dies.
Mhm.
So, but I loved what the major was saying. Like, all of this is just gonna, like, eventually it's gonna be like, and again, he's gonna keel over.
Well,
I
yeah.
need that to happen
The-
in public. I want him to have
No.
that Mitch McConnell moment at a podium. That Mitch McConnell moment where he's like,
All right. Look, you're not gonna.
I want that.
Yeah, I understood. Understood. I do not seek illness or death for anyone. But
Karma.
that moment, whether we want it or not, that public moment where he brain farts to silence is coming, whether he likes it or not.
Well, he's sundowning right in front of us. You were talking about that earlier. He's deteriorating right in front of us every single day.
Yeah.
It's delightful. It's delicious. Inject his misery right into my veins because it's my life's blood now. So
Yeah.
we've been waiting a long, long, long time.
My
for
concern is,
something
and
to
I guess,
happen.
right, here's the thing. What do you think his people will do if he dies, if he keels over before the election? You think any of them will think it was natural causes, even though he's been a blathering, sweaty, shit his pants mess who eats garbage and doesn't exercise?
They'll blame it on the Biden administration.
Yeah,
They'll say he
right.
was Seth Riched or something like that, and they'll try
Mhm.
to turn him into some sort. They will, whenever he dies, however he dies, whether it's in his sleep or in some other way, there will be people who try to martyr him.
Right.
He died for us. He died for us. Like, we'll get
Uh-huh.
that. We will get that from the cult, from the cultiest of the cult members.
Mhm.
The rest of them will try to find. They would have to find a replacement. They have to
Right.
find a candidate. They need a viable candidate who will actually still be like standing upright in November, right? So who can their candidate? They have to be. I don't know. If
None of his people are going to vote
I-
for any of the other people. No, none of them.
But if he's not on the ballot or he's in the
Doesn't matter.
hospital,
They're going to think they killed him. Like half of those assholes. That's what I'm serious. Seriously, the ones that don't think Biden killed him personally. If he passed, if Trump passes away, God forbid, because I don't wish death on anybody. But mostly for, I suppose, Barron's sake. But if he does, half of his supporters are going to think that Biden did it. The other half are going to think that Nikki Haley did it with the help of Ron DeSantis and a cheeseburger.
right?
Right?
There's Maxine. Yep.
Yeah. Hi, Maxine. that honestly, there half. Okay, right now he's got whatever 50% of the vote in Iowa or something along those lines, whatever. If he isn't the nominee, half of his people aren't voting for the other half. Any of those other folks, not Vivek, not fucking Nikki Haley,
with Laura Loomer.
That's right. Here's what I project. I think Biden's going to trounce the Republican, whoever it is, in this next election, and for two reasons. One, huge turnout by Democrats who are especially on a Rovember kind of a push, and based on like a genuine functioning government, and a bunch of people like union folks and other folks who are like, I'm going to fucking vote for this guy because he actually gives a goddamn. And then the other reason it's going to be such a huge margin is because Trump voters are going to stay the fuck home. Like there's going to be
all butt hurt.
Yep, low turnout. Most of those people don't believe the fucking election is real anyways, or that it's going to work. So why the fuck would you go vote in an election? If Biden was able to steal it while he was out of office and your guy was president of the United States, what fucking chance do you have when the roles are reversed? Are you out of your fucking mind? And if he did win, it proves he was full of shit the first time. There's no win in this situation for this dickhead. And so
stay home, dummies. We don't need you. We don't need your votes to elect
Half
Biden.
Those motherfuckers are not going to vote. They're at all. All the Chris Christie voters are not voting for Trump. All the Nikki Haley voters not voting for Trump. All the most of the DeSantis voters, what, 80% now? If you're still for
DeSantis voter, I keep forgetting that he's still running.
Yeah. So they're not voting for Trump. Not happening. Fucking not happening.
Then the other thing to think about, because everyone's like, Joe Biden is old. Shut the fuck up, first of all. But second, if we reelect Biden-Harris by the landslide that we're already predicting, Joe Biden can step aside and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go home to Delaware. Kamala, you pick a VP and I'm out. He could. Yeah. He won't do it immediately. He would do it like a few months in. I don't think he wants to serve an entire second term.
I know he does. He certainly does.
I mean,
yes, he does.
Physically, the toll that it might take on him, I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think he cares. At this point, he's all legacy at this point. And the whole point is to the whole point of it is to lock down as much good as you can do during that time.
Well, absolutely, but he could, if he wanted to, pass the torch, and then she could bring in Gavin Newsom as VP.
Won't happen.
Or Pete
Buttigieg. I've heard this talk from like Glenn Beck in that crowd. I mean, he could, but he won't. That's not how it works. He's healthy. He's fine.
I'm fine with another full 4 years of a term of a Democrat should be followed by another Democratic term. And
the last 4 years have vanished, fucking gone in a heartbeat. And the amount of shit that he's actually accomplished while the Ukraine war was going on, while the shit broke out in Israel and all this other stuff, and he's still managing to negotiate an extension of the Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia, for fuck's sake.
How do you like those gas prices under $3 now, America? Even though the president doesn't set the gas prices.
Right. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing.
To cure cancer, and MAGA would be like, he didn't do it soon enough to save his son. So, there's always going to be that small faction that tries to take away from Biden's accomplishments. But the problem is they have nothing to put up in its place.
Nope.
They can't say, look at this amazing thing Trump did, because he didn't.
Where the fuck is the healthcare plan? Like, Trump even repromised that. He repromised that, 3 weeks ago for 2 weeks later. He's been doing it for fucking 7 years now.
That's all they do. They only move the goalpost. They never deliver.
Please. Biden's not going anywhere, and he'll be just fine. He knows what to outsource and what not to. He's outsourcing half of his stress to Tony Blinken right now. You can look at Tony Blinken, who's missing out on sleep, but he knows what we're supposed to do, and he's got the presidency behind him, so he can go, this is what we're going to do. This is what we will do. This is what we won't do. Fucking get it handled. And that's what you're supposed to do when you're the chief executive. You're not supposed to fucking have to sit across from everybody with your sleeves rolled up, negotiating a fucking contract like Trump said he was doing, which he never fucking did. You should have a good enough team that you trust to build it, right? It's just silly.
Couldn't keep a stop.
Anyways.
There's a revolving door. Anyway,
meanwhile,
please buy
Trump
my book,
thinks
The Sound of Settling, and share it with everybody that you know, especially if everybody that you know might be a literary agent or Hollywood producer.
Gotcha. I will do.
TaraDublinLots.com.
I
I'm
insist.
completely broke and need a job, so let's go.
That's the spirit.
With money.
All right. Thank you so much, Tara. You're wonderful. See you next week. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. There she goes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And by the way, hold on, let me change this up here. And then I want to jump to you guys. Hi, chat room. I didn't get to say hi because the major was already here. And I was already jumping in there. I got to run, but I just wanted to say hi and check in with you guys. There you go. The ACA was a Republican plan. No, it wasn't. It was based on the what they called Romney Care. The ACA was a build on top of that. But even that, the Romney Care thing was him trying to be a bridge politician in his own state that was a purple state. Unless you want to give the Republicans credit for 24 million people getting insurance that they wouldn't otherwise have. So when does a book reading channel launch? I don't know yet. I'll work it out. Trump is a micromanager, going to fuck it all up. Well, I mean, you look at the stories that you hear about him. And by the way, infotainmentwars.com, like, subscribe. We don't need the documents. We have everything memorized. It's been said multiple times that if Trump had just left his father's fortune alone, he'd be far richer now than, well, he's not rich at all now, but he would actually be worth the billions he says he is. But because he got in there and thought he could make deals and he knew what deals were and all this bullshit, and he sold everybody else on it, so he always had to at least be pretending to do it, right? And he always, like, I'm in there working on deals and stuff. And so he had to get his fucking little grubby, teeny fingers in on everything. Because he did that, he fucked up all the deals. That's just the reality of it. See a repeat of RBG, need a backup plan? No, we don't. Because you don't have to get, there is no RBG situation with the presidency. We have a vice president. There was no vice SCOTUS judge, Supreme Court judge. Under RBG. It's not how, it's a totally different system. It's okay. We've dealt with it before. There was no nobody knew how old, Kennedy would be when he died, when he took office. You see what I mean? Was Trump ever a billionaire? He had billions of worth because he got his dad's stuff. His dad's stuff was worth billions, largely because of the inflation and the devaluing of the dollar compared to what it was worth decades before. On Michelle Wolf as a guest? I don't know. It's a good thought. I will germinate on it. Billion butt hurts, exactly. Have you ever met Trump? I have not. I've not met any of the Trumps. Maybe because I've never been on Epstein's plane or his island or his apartment or anywhere near him or in a building he was in at the same time or in a building that Ghislaine Maxwell was in at the same time. Ever. I suppose being in New York, I could have been on the top floor of, when they brought me to Fox News a couple times. I used to do Fox and Friends back before they lost their fucking mind. There's a chance she was there visiting Sean Hannity or something. And I didn't know it. But I've never knowingly or willfully been in the same room with him or any of those fuckers. So nope. Yes, random fact. I have never been on an Epstein plane ever. Not ever. And by the way, none of my friends have either. I don't know anybody in the business personally that even was a guest on that shit. Like I don't I don't even know. Oh, somebody's like, top of them, my head looks like silk. Well, thank you very much. It's just because of the overhead light. So yeah, I don't. Nothing. You mean Mary Trump, the psychologist? I don't know. I agree. Joe has all the experience to do the job. Exactly. There was a time when FNF's had in mind. Yes, Fox and Friends used to be just kind of your standard, almost CNN-esque morning show. Yep. I don't know Chris Tucker. Never met him. I'd love to have Lev Parnas on. Yeah. I've had his son on, Aaron. Thank you very much, Andrea. Reba, was Reba on his plane? I don't think so. I don't. What's going on with Reba and family? I don't know. Well, I mean, there's a lot going on with Reba and family, but over the years. She's had a rough ride. She had I mean, there's a pretty good documentary about her. Have I met Noel Kessler? No, I haven't. I have only tweeted with him. Yeah. Flight logs that match client list. Yeah. Why would Reba be on his plane? Because he flew celebrities to hide behind them. That's not that weird. Again, I seriously doubt that Reba McEntire was on the Lolita Express. Is Johnny sick? No, he's not. It's Monday. He's not on my show on Mondays. He's only on Saturdays on the radio. Yeah, use them for cred and cover. I should have Steph come on my show sometime. I agree. That'd be lovely. You guys should bug her to come on my show. Because then she could cuss. There we go. We need to get Steph on here just so she can swear. That's a great idea. Have you ever had porridge with an astronaut? No, but I have eaten way too much astronaut ice cream for anybody. Oh, Steph has COVID right now? Oh, no. Boo. Oh, I hear somebody. Hold on. My headphones are dying. Oh, no, Johnny. Oh, on his stream. I got you. He's not feeling well. Oh, no. Well, I'm going to have to send him some soup. Hi, Chud. Somebody came in. Hold on one second. Excuse me. Who's just laying here on the floor? Little Miss Chud. Just laying here on the floor. There she is. There she is. Look at this. What's happening? There she is. There's a Chudley. It's so funny how she just looks like she's holding on for dear life, but it's just how she hangs. Yeah, she's just very relaxed. She immediately starts purring. Oh, God. How did Chip go from foster to yours? I just kept him. He was just a foster fail. And we didn't think anybody'd want him because his ass was broken. He would poop down the back of his legs, and he burned all the hair off his legs because his feces was so acidic and runny. It was very sad. You wanted to hear this. Happy breakfast. But we weren't even sure he would survive. So yeah. So I just fell in love with Chip. Yeah, he's my buddy. And then this is Jen. Yeah. There she is. There she is. Yeah. Yeah. So, Chud on t-shirts now. All right. I'll see what I can do. All right. I'll see you guys later. Hold there, Chud. Okay. I got you. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. You want to ride upstairs? Is that what's up? I'll give you a ride upstairs. Like and subscribe. Thank you.